Chapter 1277. By doing this, Xiao Chen would be seeking death. The Western Sea Dragon King's move was brilliant. Whether Xiao Chen received it or not, he would be at a disadvantage. Big brother Xiao. Emo Chen said anxiously. Xiao Chen pushed gently, and a gentle force pushed Emo Chen off the platform. Xiao Chen walked forward step by step and arrived before the mountain tablet covered by the dragon banner. Then he looked calmly at the 14 gargantuan weapons. Clearly, the Western Sea Dragon King was someone who held a grudge. Back then, he suffered a small loss when facing Xiao Chen's 3-kilometer-long stone saber. Now, he immediately returned the favor tenfold, 100-fold, at the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony. Xiao Chen looked around and focused on the 3-kilometer-long stone saber at the very front. This stone saber was formed by his saber intent. Now that the Western Sea Dragon King personally executed it, its might was the greatest. He had to receive this 3-kilometer-long stone saber first. Whoosh! Xiao Chen pushed off the ground and soared into the air, directly flying towards that 3-kilometer-long stone saber. Vital chi surged in Xiao Chen's body as he materialized the blue dragon battle armor. Then he burst forth with 20 dragon force. Amid dragon roars, 20 dragon-shaped energy currents circled behind Xiao Chen. Deities descending, tenfold combat prowess. A golden light entered Xiao Chen's body, and his aura soared. His 20 dragon force instantly turned into 200 dragon force. Ever since Xiao Chen discovered that his physiological lifespan was severely damaged, he rarely used deities descending, this heaven-defying martial technique that could only deal 1,000 damage to one's opponent but not 800. However, he had to use it today. Before everyone's incredulous gazes, Xiao Chen, who executed deities descending, was truly like a deity. First, he used a palm strike to break the spatial waves created by the 14 gargantuan weapons. Then, he grabbed the 3-kilometer-long stone saber at the very front with his bare hands. Buzz! The space around them shook, and the huge waves that had surged over were reversed by this intense collision. The other 13 giant blades that were flying over all paused, and their speed slowed down significantly. Xiao Chen let out a loud shout. His hand grasped the tip of the 1,000-feet-long stone saber and fiercely lifted it up. Then, he pushed his palm forward. With a loud bang, the stone saber fell heavily in front of the platform and stood upright. He caught it. Everyone gasped in surprise. Blue Dragon King Xiao Chen had caught the giant blade without any damage. However, the situation was still not optimistic. There were still 13 giant blades behind them, and each of them had the power of a greater celestial Emperor Wu. Ha! Western Sea Dragon King, you are really light. When the Vice Palace Master of the Zodiac Hall saw that the Western Sea Dragon King's 3-kilometer-long stone saber was caught, he mocked. Ao Lang felt his face heat up. This brat actually caught his stone saber perfectly unscathed. He had utterly embarrassed himself before the group of martial emperors. Xiao Chen suppressed the surging qi and blood in his body and looked at the second gargantuan weapon. That was a 3-kilometer-long spear. This spear contained strong astral energy. When the Vice Palace Master of the Zodiac Hall executed it, its might was second only to the 3-kilometer-long stone saber. Pu Si. The cycle banner soared into the sky from Xiao Chen's body. As the astral banner fluttered, it gave off the sound of waves. Massacre, death, ruin, despair, and grief. 5-colored starlight descended from the sky. Colorful light shone everywhere. Under the illumination of the 5-colored starlight, the Blue Dragon Plaza turned into a dreamy land. Xiao Chen's delicate face showed determination, calmness, and decisiveness. He stretched out his hand and grasped the cycle banner. When the 5-colored starlight landed, he roared ferociously and waved the cycle banner in the sky. The astral banner spun, and a vast astral energy surged out from it, suppressing the astral energy in the 3-kilometer-long spear in one go. A strong suction pulled on the 3-kilometer-long spear. Bang! It landed beside the 3-kilometer-long stone saber. Earlier, the Vice Palace Master of the Zodiac Hall had been mocking the Western Sea Dragon King for not being strong enough. Who could have imagined that right after he spoke, Xiao Chen would catch his spear even more easily? The vice palace master of the Zodiac Hall immediately changed his expression. Fortunately, the Western Sea Dragon King did not make things difficult for him. Otherwise, it would be even more embarrassing. How powerful! Shao Chen managed to catch the two most powerful swords. Who knows, he might be able to catch all of them. The Blue Dragon King really made a lot of preparations for this Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony. The cultivators present all felt an irrepressible excitement. If Shao Chen could really catch all of them, this Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony would be interesting. He would trample on the faces of the many holy lands. Just thinking about it made everyone excited. Shao Chen successfully caught the two strongest sabers. As long as he caught the gargantuan sabers from the Five Poison Sect and the Heavenly Province Academy, the other two holy lands, the gargantuan sabers would be easier to deal with. As for the remaining 10 giant blades, they were easier to deal with. Those from the clan of the Ancients and other dragon palaces were much weaker. The vice sect master of the Five Poison Sect smiled coldly and said, "Let's see how you catch the gargantuan saber of my Five Poison Sect. This stone saber is infused with 10,000 kinds of poison from the inside out." The 3-kilometer-long gargantuan saber of the Five Poison Sect was a staff. It was not very mighty, but it was the most dangerous. Once touched, all sorts of strange poisons would enter the body. Although it would be hard for a half-step golden body to die from poison, one's combat prowess would inevitably decrease by more than half. However, the most crucial thing now was not the Five Poison Sect's gargantuan saber. Instead, it was the 10-odd gargantuan sabers that already charged over, not giving Shao Chen a chance to catch them alone. The danger of this place could not be described with words. Facing the 12 gargantuan sabers, Shao Chen was as insignificant as an ant under the overwhelming might and pressure. He could be crushed into bits at any moment. The hearts of the Dragon's Gate's people all tensed up. As they looked at Shao Chen in the air, they all felt very nervous. Just at this moment, a ferocious look flashed in the eyes of the Western Sea Dragon King Ao Lang. He clapped his hands and said, "The Blue Dragon King is a good move, connecting two of our congratulatory gifts. However, how can one receive the congratulatory gifts one at a time? Our hearts are connected. Naturally, we have to receive the congratulatory gifts at the same time." Right after the Western Sea Dragon King spoke, he threw a palm strike. Immediately, the 12 gargantuan sabers, which had already arrived, quickly merged together with the Western Sea Dragon King's palm strike. A vast aura suddenly gathered, becoming like a sharp saber stabbing towards Shao Chen's chest. The originally dangerous situation forced Shao Chen into a desperate situation once more. What a strong emperor's might! Shao Chen thought to himself as he felt pain in his chest. His sovereign might showed signs of crumbling. Western Sea Dragon King, can you be any more despicable? The Dragon's Gate's people could not help cursing angrily. This was especially so for Mo Chen, who stood up in anger and was about to activate the Blue Dragon Heaven locking formation. The tens of thousands of guests in the Blue Dragon Plaza were also set abuzz. Unexpectedly, the Western Sea Dragon King was actually this shameless. When the Western Sea Dragon King saw the rage of these people, he laughed loudly, feeling very cocky. "What do you mean by despicable? We came from afar to send gifts together. Naturally, the Blue Dragon King will accept all the congratulatory gifts." Shao Chen, who was in the air, waved his hand to stop the Dragon's Gate's people, who were filled with righteous indignation. Then he looked at the Western Sea Dragon King and said coldly, "Although your hearts are connected, there are differences in strength and status. How are you going to accept the congratulatory gifts? Naturally, I, the Blue Dragon King, have to prioritize. It is not up to you, the Western Sea Dragon King, to tell me what to do." With a thought, Neptune's crown appeared on Shao Chen's head. In that instant, Shao Chen's king's might soared. Shao Chen blocked the emperor's might gathered by the 12 gargantuan weapons. In a clash of auras, he surpassed them significantly. Primordial energy surged out of Shao Chen's heart of an emperor. Then, he threw a palm strike with his left hand, and lofty aspirations burst forth from his chest. A bright moon like fire soared into the air. This was the 1,000-year flame, the the profound martial technique that Xiao Qin created. This palm strike contained lofty aspirations and hot-bloodedness. A blazing flame, burning my heart. At the same time, Xiao Qin threw a palm strike with his right hand. A scarlet moon soared into the air, and flowers danced in the air. This was the 1,000-year death, which came from the same source as the 1,000-year flame. The grief of a king does not hate heaven and earth, does not resent the gods and ghosts. Like a moon hanging high, blood dyed the sky. Only I know, admiring myself. The two moons competed with each other, lofty aspirations, hot-bloodedness, and cold grief mixing. When Xiao Qin threw 2 palm strikes, he scattered the 13 gargantuan weapons that had yet to completely form. Bush, bush, bush. Xiao Qin's figure flickered. Amid the light of the 2 moons, he sent out another 3 palm strikes and completely scattered the 13 gargantuan weapons. Each palm strike contained 100 strands of primordial energy. Amid the loud rumbling, a terrifying emperor's might radiated out, startling the spectators. After sending out the 3 palm strikes, 2 beams of light flew out of Xiao Qin's eyes, one golden and one white. They were the solar true flame and the lunar true flame. The flames chased each other and quickly materialized a beautiful Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. Sweat appeared on Xiao Qin's forehead. He clenched his teeth and shouted, "Spin!" The Taiji yin-yang flame diagram spun rapidly, erupting with bright golden light. As the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram spun, the gargantuan weapons containing the various poisons of the 5 poison sect flew to the side of the Zodiac Hall's spear and fell to the ground. The 5 poison sect old man revealed great shock on his face. How can this be? He caught my congratulatory gift just like that. The myriad poisons are all wasted. Pu Si. A 3-kilometer-long sword broke through the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. Bathed in fiery light, it flew towards Xiao Qin, radiating a jagged sword intent that was incredibly sharp. This was the congratulatory gift from the Heavenly Province Academy, a 3-kilometer-long sword with the sharpest offensive power. The Heavenly Province Academy old man said coldly, "Even if you catch this sword of mine, you will vomit 3 liters of blood. The 10 gargantuan weapons behind will be more than enough to kill you." Saber. Xiao Qin shouted in his heart. The lunar shadow saber in his hand moved nimbly between his palm and arm. It was like a beautiful woman dancing the most beautiful dance in the world. As Xiao Qin moved, the surging saber intent in his body slowly gathered and surged towards the saber. Xiao Qin's saber domain had already advanced from power to subtlety. Even if he did not bring out his saber domain, his strong saber intent would be sufficient to scare away most of the sword intents in the Kunlun realm. When the gargantuan sword arrived before Xiao Qin, the lunar shadow saber suddenly stopped moving. Xiao Qin narrowed his eyes. His gaze was like a powerful saber as he grasped the lunar shadow saber. Without drawing it, he swung it forward in the time it took for a spark to fly. Xiao Qin used the scabbard to block the tip of the gargantuan sword. It looked like a clash of sabers and swords. However, what mattered was their respective saber intents and sword intents. Without a master to control the gargantuan sword, no matter how strong its sword intent was, it could not compare to the unparalleled saber intent that Xiao Qin had instantly shot out after storing up power. Kinchang. It was like an immortal zither in the heavens, playing the exquisite zither music of a powerful army. When the insignificant Xiao Qin sent out his saber, he forced the gargantuan sword back by 3 centimeters. Chapter 1278. Xiao Qin's white robes fluttered as he spun around. Then he stepped on the blade of the gargantuan saber. Whoosh! The sword plunged straight down, sinking about 1 meter into the ground. When Xiao Qin landed, he stood firmly on the hilt of the gargantuan saber. His white robes fluttered, and his long hair fluttered. He looked like a powerful bladesman, looking very graceful. The Heavenly Province Academy old man's face immediately turned green. It was like Xiao Qin had not stepped on the sword but his face. As Xiao Qin stood on the hilt of the gargantuan saber, he looked around at the remaining 10 gargantuan sabers. These were not made by the Holy Lands and were much weaker than the previous 4. Xiao Chen held the saber horizontally in front of him and grasped the hilt with his right hand. At this moment, his mind was calm. Saber domain. Xiao Chen muttered to himself, and he instantly drew the lunar shadow saber. Together with the long saber, he also drew his thunder saber domain, which had already gone from power to subtlety. The area within 1 kilometer of the thundercloud's secret treasure was Xiao Chen's world. The saber intent filling the air was everywhere. With a thought, he could form a saber. Whoosh! As the saber light spread out, the astral energy of the 4 gargantuan sabers in front of the tall platform, the boundless sword intent, and everything within 1 kilometer all infused into the saber that Xiao Chen drew. When Xiao Chen felt the vast saber intent on the saber, he grasped the lunar shadow saber tightly and looked at the 10 gargantuan sabers. Then he brandished his saber to his heart's content. This saber strike completely destroyed the aura and state of the 10 gargantuan sabers. Lofty aspirations filled Xiao Chen's heart. He soared into the air and hacked down with his saber again. A vast purple saber chi carrying a strong aura swept through the sky like a purple flame tail. With one saber strike, the gargantuan saber of the Jiang clan, an ancient noble clan, landed beside the gargantuan saber. With another saber strike, the gargantuan saber sent out by the Eastern Sea Divine Dragon Palace's Vice Palace Master landed with a boom. Dressed in white and equipped with a treasured saber, he danced in the air in front of the crowd. When the tens of thousands of guests saw Xiao Chen flying in the air, each time he swung his saber, a 3-kilometer-long saber would descend, they were all dumbfounded. Even the Western Sea Dragon King's group appeared entranced, not daring to believe it. What kind of demeanor did one have to have in order to be able to dance in the sky in front of the crowd and make them fall for him, not daring to make a sound? The purple saber chi that swept across the sky, the huge saber that suddenly fell down, and the white-robed Xiao Chen who danced with the saber. There seemed to be only one scene in the entire world, attracting everyone's attention. In a place that Xiao Chen couldn't see, there were many warships standing in the clouds far away from the Heaven Dragon City. One warship was covered in astral banners. It was the Zodiac Hall's Emperor-grade warship. The Zodiac Hall's palace master personally sat on the warship. A group of junior generation disciples, as well as the Sun Palace's and Moon Palace's holy scions and holy daughters, were all there. These people also saw the scene at the Blue Dragon Plaza. They all rushed to the very front of the deck and looked into the distance in disbelief. Chu Yang muttered, "How can this be? How did he do it? He is about to catch all 14 3-kilometer-long sabers." Such a scene happened on the other warships as well. When one looked carefully, one would discover that the Eastern Sea Dragon King, the Northern Sea Dragon King, the 5 Poison Sects Sect Master, the Heavenly Province Academy's Sect Master, the Yin-Yang Paradise's Cave Master, all these powerful characters were present. When Yu Bingyun saw this scene from the Lunar Palace's warship, her eyes lit up. The Lunar Palace's palace master rejoiced in her heart. Fortunately, she did not agree to the Western Sea Dragon King's rotten idea. Otherwise, the aloof Lunar Palace would end up making a fool of itself as well. Whoosh! When the final 3-kilometer-long saber landed on another saber, Xiao Chen sheathed it. Xiao Chen put away all 14 3-kilometer-long sabers and lined them up in a row before the high platform. As Xiao Chen slowly descended, he glanced at the stunned Western Sea Dragon King. Then he said calmly, "Men, give the Western Sea Dragon King and the various Holy Land-honored guests a seat. Let the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony continue." The tables and tea tables on the high platform were rearranged. At the entrance of the plaza, 2 pretty maidservants smiled and extended their hands in an inviting gesture. This was clearly an incredibly respectful gesture. However, it made the Western Sea Dragon King and the Holy Land Elders all blush, feeling very sullen in their hearts. However, the situation developed in a direction that they did not expect. At this point, there was no reason for them to fall out with Xiao Chen. The Western Sea Dragon King's face flushed red. He clenched his right fist tightly, and his body trembled involuntarily. He did not look like a Dragon King at all. Xiao Chen gently drifted down and returned to the host's seat in the middle. On his left were the Western Sea Dragon King and the greater heavenly sovereigns of the various holy lands, Emperor Wu. On the right were the other guests with a smaller presence but strength on par with Emperor Wu. The Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony continued. Lan Xiaobai followed the re-establishment ceremonies of the ancient sects and proceeded in an orderly manner. When Xiaochen saw this, he knew that Lan Xiaobai had put in a lot of effort to achieve this. Not only did he ensure the grandeur of the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony, but he also did not make too many mistakes, conforming to the norm. This suited Xiaochen's intentions. There was no need to make the ceremony grand. He just had to go through the necessary procedures. The most important thing was to successfully unveil the Dragon's Gate, announcing to the world the re-establishment of the Dragon's Gate. Letting the world know of the Dragon's Gate's existence and spreading the Dragon's Gate's deeds would invisibly allow the reborn Dragon's Gate to merge into this great realm and obtain its own luck. On the surface, the situation looked great. However, Xiaochen was very clear on what exactly the situation was. Ao Lang, the rotten idea that you came up with is really incredible. You managed to make so many greater heavenly Emperor Wu embarrass themselves with you. It's all your fault for coming up with such a lousy idea, saying that we should suppress others with our might, directly suppressing Xiaochen. Now that I've become a laughingstock, I'm satisfied. I already said long ago that no matter how strong a casual strike from us is, there is a limit to it. Don't underestimate Xiaochen's potential. This old man has lived for 1,000 years, but this is the first time I have made such a fool of myself. Western Sea Dragon King, no matter what, you have to bear this responsibility. On the surface, the Western Sea Dragon King waited, drinking fine wine and watching the various activities of the re-establishment ceremony. However, in secret, they sent voice projections to each other, criticizing the Western Sea Dragon King like a flood. Ao Lang did not say anything, feeling very sullen in his heart. He was the one who came up with this idea. Originally, Ao Lang thought that this matter was in the bag. Who could have imagined that Xiaochen would turn things around? This simply caught Ao Lang off guard. As he faced everyone's criticism, he showed a sullen expression and did not rebut. I, Ao Lang, will bear this responsibility. After this matter is settled, I will definitely give everyone a satisfactory answer. As Ao Lang watched Xiaochen, who was sitting upright, smiling and in high spirits as he toasted the guests, the rage in his heart blazed even stronger. If Ao Lang could directly attack, he would have done so long ago and personally dealt with Xiaochen. But Ao Lang, who was drinking wine, suddenly smashed the jade wine flask in his hand to the ground. The wine flask shattered, and the peak-quality wine spilled all over the ground, giving off an alluring fragrance. Ao Lang's actions startled everyone. The originally noisy platform immediately fell silent. Although the many guests were shocked by Ao Lang's actions, they were not surprised. The other party was not here to drink wine and celebrate. How could he just sit there and do nothing? He must have been thinking of ways to cause trouble at every moment, to prevent the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony from continuing. Furthermore, Ao Lang had given Xiaochen a congratulatory gift earlier. Originally, he wanted to slap Xiaochen in the face. In the end, Xiaochen ruthlessly slapped him back. After holding it in for so long, he definitely could not hold it in anymore. Xiaochen calmed himself down and waved his hand to stop the enraged Dragon's Gate's people. Then, he raised his eyelids and looked at the Western Sea Dragon King. He said, "Senior, are you not satisfied with the wine or with this wine flask? I'll get someone to change it for Senior." The Western Sea Dragon King did not say anything. He just smiled coldly. After a while, he picked up his wine cup and said slowly, "Blue Dragon King, do you really think that we came all the way here to congratulate you and drink wine? Do you know why I smashed this wine flask? This wine is a bona fide peak-quality wine. However, this wine flask is only made of 100-year-old fine jade. How can such an inferior wine flask be worthy of peak-quality wine?" Xiaochen was very intelligent. How could he not know what the other party meant? He said calmly, "If Senior Ao has something to say, just say it directly. There is no need to beat around the bush." Ao Lang said indifferently, "Since you want me to say it directly, then I will say it directly to you. This wine flask is you, Blue Dragon King. The Dragon's Gate is this peak-quality wine. As an inferior wine flask, you cannot contain peak-quality wine. If you force it, others will not be able to bear it and smash you to death. If you insist on doing things your own way today and re-establish the Dragon's Gate, you will end up like this wine flask. Bang, bang, bang. With Ao Lang taking the lead, the elders of the other holy lands, ancient noble clans, and divine dragon palaces of the four seas all smashed their wine flasks to the ground. Immediately, crackling sounds rang out endlessly, all of them the sound of wine flasks shattering. They are going to fall out with each other. The Western Sea Dragon Kings group decided to shed all pretense of cordiality. They no longer beat around the bush and directly threatened Xiaochen. The atmosphere turned dangerous once again. A huge battle might break out at the slightest disagreement. Interesting. A sovereign martial emperor leading a group of greater heavenly Emperor Wu scoundrels are acting shamelessly. What is even more laughable is that their opponent is just a consummation blue-robed emperor. The only one who can push them to this extent is probably the Blue Dragon King Xiaochen. So many major characters are here, but only the Western Sea Dragon King jumped out. He is probably really desperate. After today, the reputation of this group of people will be completely tarnished. This joyous scene on the tall platform did not surprise the other guests or the other cultivators in the plaza. In reality, no one held much hope for Xiaochen's re-establishment of the Dragon's Gate. The surprising thing was that the Blue Dragon King Xiaochen could receive so many congratulatory gifts and fly around in front of so many outstanding talents. Ao Lang stood up and looked at Xiaochen. Then he said coldly, "Not speaking? Does not saying anything mean that you have a chance? You can't be so naive as to think that you can successfully hold the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony after receiving a few congratulatory gifts, right?" Xiaochen's expression remained calm as he swirled the wine cup in his hand. Then he looked in a certain direction in the sky. Under the endless layers of clouds, there were many big shots sitting on the battleships, looking coldly at everything that was happening here. Chapter 1279. Xiaochen withdrew his gaze and ignored Ao Lang. He drained the wine in his cup in one go and took a deep breath. Xiaochen gave Emochen a thumbs up and smiled. The wine that the other party brewed was indeed of peak quality. However, Emochen felt so anxious that she nearly cried. None of the honored guests on the invitation had come. Now that the Western Sea Dragon King had pushed the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony to this extent, Xiaochen could still laugh. Seeing Xiaochen laugh, the Western Sea Dragon King's rage intensified. His voice turned heavier as he said, "Blue Dragon King, to think that you can still laugh? Don't think that you can overturn the heavens just because you have great luck. In our eyes, you are still a minor character, an ant that we can squash to death at any time. Are you done yet? You better shut the fuck up for this old man. You keep saying the same thing over and over again." Xiaochen suddenly shouted, his voice sounding like thunder. His furious expression made his delicate face look extremely frightening. But Xiaochen heavily smashed the wine cup in his hand to the ground. Then he shouted himself hoarse, "Are you still going to say that the Haotian Prime is blocked and cannot come? Similarly, the Fox King is blocked and cannot come. The 13 great bandits of the Black Sea, the Northern Sea Alliance, all the honored guests that I invited cannot come. Today, no one can help me. As long as I continue with this Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony, I will shatter like the wine cup." You used the wine cup as an analogy to mock me for overestimating myself, jumping up and down like a clown. Do you really think that I cannot guess the meaning behind your words? The Western Sea Dragon Kings group was somewhat startled by Xiaochen's words. Their voices trembled as they asked, "How did you know? You should not know." That was right. The reason why they dared to fall out with Xiaochen was that none of the honored guests that Xiaochen invited could make it today. The Western Sea Dragon King contacted the corresponding people to block the other party, ensuring that the other party could not reach Heavenly Dragon City. In their opinion, without these big shots, no matter how much Xiaochen jumped around, he was just a clown. How could Xiaochen not know that none of his distinguished guests had arrived? With a slight guess, he could figure out the reason. Ever since he received the congratulatory gift, he had never been complacent. In fact, she already knew what he was thinking. Xiao Chen enunciated every word as he looked at Ao Lang. Let me tell you this, Western Sea Dragon King Ao Lang. For the sake of the responsibility in their hearts, some people can disregard everything and risk their lives. You will never understand. I, Xiao Chen, have a red heart and warm blood. Even if you dig out my heart and bleed me dry, I, Xiao Chen, will complete this Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony to the end. When facing Xiao Chen's aura, the Western Sea Dragon King Ao Lang, who originally held a suppressive advantage, felt somewhat stunned. He thought that after Xiao Chen learned the truth, his face would turn pale and he would submit obediently. Who could have thought that the other party would be so vicious, not backing down at all? If one did not go crazy in a desperate situation, one would not survive. Facing Xiao Chen's craziness and persistence, the Western Sea Dragon King Ao Lang was stunned for a moment before recovering his wits. In the end, he was a seventh heaven martial emperor, a major character on the same level as Emperor Wu. Having lived for a long time, he had experienced many things. Although a person like Xiao Chen might not appear even once every 10,000 years, at this moment, Xiao Chen was much weaker than the Western Sea Dragon King. They were not existences on the same level. As long as none of those major characters came, no matter how much Xiao Chen jumped around, he would still be an ant before the Western Sea Dragon King. Furthermore, the Western Sea Dragon King still had many greater heavenly Emperor Wu of varying strength by his side. With his great might, it was impossible for Xiao Chen to truly scare him. Ao Lang said coldly, "Dig out your heart and bleed? There is no need for me to go through so much trouble to kill you. However, don't worry. I, the Western Sea Dragon King, will not go to the extent of making a move on you. Since I know your persistence, I will not ask you any more. We will just sit here and let you jump around as you please. However, if you want to open this Dragon's Gate's mountain tablet, let me tell you, there is no way." Ao Lang waved his hand and sat down with the others, looking coldly at Xiao Chen. "What are you looking at? All of you, scram to the side." Seeing that the other guests on the tall platform had not left yet, Ao Lang frowned and scolded them. The others immediately left, not daring to linger. "As for the rest of you, scram right now as well." Immediately, Ao Lang stretched out his hand and pointed. The tens of thousands of guests drinking and chatting in the plaza were all within the range Ao Lang mentioned. This group of people felt dissatisfied, feeling that this Western Sea Dragon King was too tyrannical. However, he was a seventh heaven martial emperor. Furthermore, he had won over many holy lands and ancient noble clans. With such might, no one dared to go against him. Ao Lang looked at the red-eyed Xiao Chen and said, "Don't look at me. Let me tell you this. With me around, your Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony will not be able to continue. I will not dig out your heart or bleed you. I will just sit here and not move, and I can prevent your Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony from continuing." After Ao Lang shed all pretense of cordiality, no one could find a way to deal with him. Such a shameless method made Xiao Chen's hot-bloodedness stifled in his chest, unable to vent it. When the people of the Holy Land seated beside Ao Lang saw Xiao Chen's sullen appearance, they revealed faint smiles on their faces. They rejoiced in their hearts. What could be happier than this? Being able to see this Qing Emperor suffer a setback. Furthermore, the Western Sea Dragon King was there to hold the fort. What could be more comfortable than this? If there was anything unhappy, the only unhappy thing was that Xiao Chen had flown into the sky and received 14 gargantuan weapons in front of them. However, now, the situation had returned to normal. As long as the Dragon's Gate could not be re-established, the Blue Dragon King's luck would fall. The humiliation he suffered earlier would no longer matter. Pusia. As Xiao Chen felt agitated, he could not help vomiting a mouthful of blood. When the blood splattered on the tall platform, it was a startling scarlet. "Xiao Chen. Big brother Xiao." The expressions of Mo Chen and the others changed as they ran over to support Xiao Chen. Their faces showed both anger and worry. On the Lunar Palace's warship in the distant clouds, Yu Bingyun's heart tightened when she saw Xiao Chen suddenly vomiting blood. She wanted to go down and investigate. Bing! A voice came from the palace of the warship. Yu Bingyun showed a conflicted expression as she stopped. When the people on the other warships saw this scene, they all revealed cold smiles. Although the Xiaochen was strong, he was still human in the end, not a god. The Western Sea Dragon King and the others glanced over and understood. Earlier, when Xiaochen received the 12 gargantuan weapons, he had sustained significant hidden injuries. This was especially so after he used some heaven-defying arts that were not easy to use, adding injuries on top of injuries. Furthermore, Xiaochen had not rested properly during the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony. Now, he could no longer hold on, and his injuries erupted. As the Western Sea Dragon King looked at the pale Xiaochen, he smiled faintly and said, "Everyone, look carefully. I did not attack him. He vomited blood himself. Don't blame it on me." It turns out that his injuries are not light. I really thought that he would be completely fine after receiving our congratulatory gifts. The Blue Dragon King is merely so. As the group looked at the vomiting Xiaochen, they mocked him coldly. All of them felt extremely comfortable in their hearts. They thought back to when Xiaochen received the congratulatory gifts and invited them up, looking boundlessly graceful. It turned out that there was such a miserable moment. Emotion glared at the Western Sea Dragon King and said, "Don't go overboard." The Western Sea Dragon King laughed loudly and said, "What's wrong? Little girl, are you not going to let us speak?" This fellow overestimated himself. Who else can he blame? Shameless! Emotion shouted angrily. She could no longer endure it, so she directly charged over. A flaming holy cannon appeared above her head. She bathed in a fiery light as she threw a palm strike at Ao Lang. The Book of Heavenly Works? Little girl, you have some fortuitous encounters. Perhaps in another 100 years, you might be a match for me. Now, go back to where you came from. The eyes of Ao Lang and the other Holy Land elders lit up when they saw that holy cannon. They did not care about Emo Chin, who was charging over. The difference was too great. Even with the Book of Heavenly Works, she was just an ant-like existence to them. Pusi. The pale-faced Xiaochen looked at the berserk Emo Chin. His heart sank. He pushed off with his feet and arrived first despite moving later. Then he placed his palm on Emo Chen's shoulder, blocking her in front. Ao Lang, who had been preparing to attack, smiled faintly and said, "Interesting. The Blue Dragon King truly lives up to his reputation as the Blue Dragon King. Despite being so injured, he is still so fast. Good movement technique. However, since I already made a move, I might as well not stop. Let's see how strong the Blue Dragon King's movement technique is." After Ao Lang spoke, he raised his palm. Flames immediately surged, and a fire dragon made of primordial energy charged at Xiaochen with bared fangs and brandished claws. This move was not very strong, just a casual strike from Ao Lang. However, in Xiaochen's current state, it was not easy for him to receive or dodge. Bang! Xiaochen did his best to dodge while carrying Emo Chin. In the end, he was only injured by the shock waves of this palm strike and did not suffer any major injuries. Your movement technique is pretty good. This broadened my horizons. When the group of people saw Xiaochen's sorry state, they guffawed loudly. Damn it! The people of the Dragon's Gate all felt frustrated. However, they could not do anything to this group of seated major characters. As Xiaochen stood up, blood leaked out of a corner of his lips. When he saw these major characters laughing so happily, rage blazed in his heart. Xiaochen had long expected that the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony would be an extremely dangerous ordeal. However, he had not expected it to be this difficult. He did not even have a chance to put his life on the line. However, Xiaochen had no regrets in his heart. As he said, Ao Lang and the others would never understand his persistence. Blue Dragon King, I already ruined your Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony. Do you regret it now? Back then, I already told you that the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony could not be held. You talked to me about the bigger picture. Now, do you know what the bigger picture is? The bigger picture is on my side. Ao Lang, who felt that he already grasped the initiative, spoke with the tone of a victor as he looked at Xiaochen. Xiaochen smiled and said, "The bigger picture? What you can see is only the smaller picture. The luck of your Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace is already exhausted. All you can do is lean towards my Heavenly Star Island. Unfortunately, you blocked this path yourself. Even if you cannot hold the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony today, the fate of your Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace cannot be changed. You think that I am a clown. However, in my eyes, you are the true clown. You are jumping up and down very vigorously, but many people are laughing at you for being a fool. Chapter 1280. Your bones are really hard. 3 months ago, you made my son kneel. Today, I will make you kneel. Let's see if your bones are really that hard. At this moment, not only did Xiao Chen not lower his head, but he even mocked him. Xiao Chen pointed out the thing that Ao Lang feared the most in his heart. His expression immediately changed dramatically. Try touching him if you dare. Just as Xiao Chen prepared to activate the Blue Dragon Heaven Locking Formation, a cold, emotionless voice came from the originally empty plaza. Who is it? Ao Lang looked around and saw a very eye-catching lone figure in the empty Blue Dragon Plaza. In reality, it would be hard for this figure not to be eye-catching. Everyone else in the plaza had been scared away by Ao Lang. Only this person remained. Do you wish to die? I already said for you all to scram. Who gave you the guts to remain? As Ao Lang looked at the person drinking wine with his back facing him, a flame flared in his heart, and he felt a murderous intent. As Xiao Chen looked at that figure, he wondered, who is this person? This person seems a little familiar, but I cannot recognize him. He does not seem to be the honored guest that I invited. Loud laughter resounded. Then that figure turned around and looked at Ao Lang. Who gave me the courage to sit here? Do I need your permission to sit here? I am Dugu Kwang of the Human Demon Sea. I am here to congratulate the Blue Dragon King on re-establishing the Dragon's Gate. This person was Dugu Kwang, Dugu Ao's father. He was a sovereign martial emperor of the Human Demon Sea with overwhelming strength. It was even harder for a demon mixed blood to advance to sovereign martial emperor. However, once they succeeded, their strength would be extremely horrifying. After clearing 6 heavens, one could be called a sovereign martial emperor. Ao Lang was only a 7th heaven martial emperor. Among sovereign martial emperors, he was considered a low-level existence. However, this demon king Dugu Kwang was someone that even Xiao Chen could not see through. He did not know which heaven martial emperor he was. However, Xiao Chen was certain that Dugu Kwang was definitely stronger than the Western Sea Dragon King Ao Lang. Furthermore, he was not just slightly stronger. Based on Ao Lang's current expression, Xiao Chen could guess. However, Xiao Chen did not invite Dugu Kwang, as he had only met the other party once. Furthermore, the other party was a human demon. Xiao Chen could not guess what the other party was thinking, so he did not send an invitation. However, unexpectedly, at this crucial moment, the honored guest that he invited was blocked. Instead, it was Dugu Kwang, an unexpected existence, who came uninvited. Dugu Kwang. It was not just Ao Lang's expression that changed. The expressions of the other Holy Land elders and the ancient noble clans all changed as well. Clearly, they had all heard of this ruthless person's reputation. In the sea of clouds, those great figures who were watching coldly from the sidelines also tightly furrowed their brows. Dugu Kwang traversed 1 kilometer in 1 step and arrived at the tall platform. Then, he looked at the Western Sea Dragon King Ao Lang, and heavy disdain flashed in his eyes. You either scram now, or I will beat you until you scram. Domineering. The Western Sea Dragon King Ao Lang, who had been yelling at the others to scram, had not expected to have such a moment. This was truly carefree. The guests who saw this scene from afar all applauded and cheered. I'm late. I didn't expect things to turn out like this. Suddenly, a figure flashed on the tall platform. It was Lan Xiaofeng walking over, appearing somewhat fatigued. Master! Lan Xiaobai and Lan Tianji said calmly, revealing joyful smiles on their faces. Ao Lang said in disbelief, Lan Xiaofeng, why are you here? I clearly sent 3 vice palace masters to block you. Lan Xiaofeng replied calmly, naturally I killed those 3. I have not truly made a move for a long time already. Even the three greater heavenly Emperor Wu had to spend a lot of time dealing with them. It looks like I have really aged. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Sonic booms resounded, and 13 old men with surging baleful auras descended from the sky. All of them were covered in blood, giving off a bandit air that was different from the heavenly starry ocean's cultivators. The 13 great bandits of the Black Sea are here to congratulate little brother Xiao Chen on re-establishing the Dragon's Gate. Horror flashed in Lan Chaofeng's eyes. He said in disbelief, "That's impossible. You 13 great bandits of the Black Sea should be trapped in the cyclic astral lord's 9 heavens astral formation. We each sacrificed 100 years of our lifespans. If we worked together, breaking his formation would be easy." The group of Holy Land elders and ancient noble clan old men beside Lan Chaofeng also slowly revealed expressions of horror in their eyes. They all felt that something was wrong with this matter. What's going on? The 13 great bandits of the Black Sea still came. It's over. One Duguquang is already enough to drive us crazy. Now that the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea are here at the same time, what should we do? Xiao Chen felt an indescribable joy in his heart. He did not know how to describe his current emotions. Originally, he thought that the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea would not be able to come and that he would not be able to hold the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony. Who could have imagined that the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea would be willing to sacrifice 100 years of their lifespans to break the formation for a promise? Little brother Xiao Chen, we, the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea, promised you that we would come, so we will definitely come. Whoever dares to cause trouble at this re-establishment ceremony will be making life difficult for us, the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea. The Blood Shark Sovereign laughed loudly as he led the 13 great bandits onto the tall platform. Sweat poured down Ao Lang's forehead continuously. If it was just Duguquang, Ao Lang could still put up a fight. However, with the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea here, he no longer had any chance of turning things around. The Northern Sea Alliance comes to congratulate the Blue Dragon King on re-establishing the Dragon's Gate. A warship flew over from a distance. Yi Chen stood on the warship, waving his hand at Xiao Chen. He smiled endlessly and said, "Brother Xiao Chen, for the sake of defeating those 2 undying old men from the 5 Poison Sect and the Heavenly Province Academy, my father even used a primordial emperor treasure. You have to entertain us properly before we can make up for it." Standing at the side, Yi Chen's father smiled faintly. Then he performed a cupped fist salute to Xiao Chen and said, "Little friend Xiao Chen, this Yi will definitely do his best to fulfill the promise I made to you. Young Master Xiao, we were delayed by some matters on the way. Yao Yan is late." The 1,000-feathered snake, an ancient mutated beast, carried Empress Yao Yan, who wore a crown of thorns, over slowly. When Xiao Chen saw the smile on Yao Yan's face and the other seniors, he felt strangely moved. Xiao Chen did not have many friends. However, at the crucial moment, these friends were definitely reliable. The sudden appearance of the various major characters flabbergasted the honored guests outside the plaza. This is too exaggerated. Not to mention the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea coming at the same time for the first time in history, even the Northern Sea Alliance's alliance chief personally came. Xiao Chen's charm is really great. The 13 great bandits were willing to sacrifice 100 years of their lifespan for him. The Northern Sea Alliance's alliance chief even used a primordial emperor treasure. Even the merfolk race's empress came. This Yao Yan empress is incredible. She is already the ruler of the chaotic demonic sea, a major character famous in the region. To think that she actually came as well. On the tall platform, the originally arrogant Western Sea Dragon Kings group trembled in their seats, their complexions pale. The Western Sea Dragon King Ao Lang was in an even worse state. He continuously used his hand to wipe the sweat off his forehead. Occasionally, he looked at a certain cloud in the distant sky. However, there were no movements from that cloud, making him even more flustered. In that cloud layer, the Heavenly Province Academy's sect master, the 5 Poison Sects sect master, and the people of the divine dragon palaces of the four seas all looked at a warship surrounded by stars. The reason was none other than the cyclic astral lord, a prime seated on that warship. Inside the warship, the cyclic astral lord frowned heavily. This was the scene that he did not want to see the most. If the cyclic astral lord did not want to attend the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony and personally come out to resolve it, it would be equivalent to falling out with the Thunder King. The cyclic astral lord did not want to bear such consequences. However, right now, the Western Sea Dragon King clearly could not control the situation. Instead, he became a fish on the chopping block, at the mercy of others. If the cyclic astral lord did not take the lead, the Holy Lord of the other Holy Lands would definitely not be willing to do so. Cyclic astral lord, what should we do? Make your stance clear. The Heavenly Province Academy's sect master said indifferently. The Five Poison Sect's sect master also said, as long as you step forward, we will definitely follow. The clan heads of the other ancient noble clans spoke up together. As long as the cyclic astral lord was willing to step forward, they would be willing to follow. The Dragon's Gate was a nightmare. The peak factions of the heavenly starry ocean did not want to see the Dragon's Gate appear. They were even more afraid of a second Qing emperor appearing. As long as a prime led them, they were willing to pay the price of offending the Thunder King to stop the re-establishment of the Dragon's Gate. Never mind. Stars flickered in the cyclic astral lord's eyes as he finally made his decision. However, just as he raised his foot to take a step forward, he suddenly felt an aura that even he feared. The cyclic astral lord's expression changed slightly, and he withdrew his foot. Then, he said sullenly, "Let's depart and return to the cyclic astral palace." The warship immediately turned around. Bathed in the cyclic astral palace, it quickly left this cloud layer. The other holy lords all showed confused expressions, not knowing what was going on. However, seeing the cyclic astral lord do this, they knew that something was wrong. Let's go. Back to the Five Poison Sect. Back to the Heavenly Province Academy. Back to Great Sun Island. Soon, only the Lunar Palace's warship remained in the cloud layer. The Lunar Palace's palace master looked into the distance and sighed. Back to Bright Moon City. Yu Bingyun ran over anxiously and asked, "Master, what's wrong?" "It's fine. As you wished, the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony can proceed smoothly. The Haotian Prime, Ingzongtan, is here." Yu Bingyun's face lit up with joy. However, she immediately withdrew her smile and cautiously glanced at her master. After all, her master especially hated the descendants of the Qing Emperor. Suddenly, a strong aura encased the Blue Dragon Plaza, inspiring fear in everyone, making them feel an urge to prostrate themselves on the ground. Two figures appeared out of nowhere, a man and a woman. The man had an impressive appearance. It was like all the light in the world gathered on him. He gave off a strong, supreme, unrivaled aura. The woman looked very beautiful, with a small bird perched on her shoulder. When she saw Xiao Chen, she greeted him from afar, revealing a gentle smile. "Junior brother, first senior sister is here to see you." Plot. The Western Sea Dragon King Ao Lang directly fell off his chair, startled into paling. Ao Lang knew that he had gone overboard. The Prime, Ingzongtan, was here. "First senior sister." Xiao Chen called out joyfully. This was truly an unexpected pleasant surprise. According to the news he received previously, first senior sister had gone to the astral battlefield. Unexpectedly, she managed to rush back. Ingzongtian carried Shui Lingling and landed on the vast platform with a few flashes. Then he looked around and smiled. "Little brother's charm is rather great. I was worried that you would not be able to handle the situation. It looks like that was unnecessary. Let me tell you something. The Fox King helped to delay Emperor Forsaken. There is also the heaven-punishing corpse god. He probably will not be able to come." Chapter 1281. This startled Xiao Chen. "You blocked two primes at the same time? Are you all right?" "There is no need to panic. I was just delaying them. It was not a life-and-death battle. I really have to thank him properly." If not for him delaying them, I do not know when I would have arrived, Ing Zongtian said calmly. He hid the strong aura of a prime very well. Ing Zongtian, you have not undergone your sovereign tribulation for 1,000 years. Now you underwent 3 in one go. You have left us old fellows far behind. The blood shark sovereign led the 13 great bandits as he laughed. Clearly, they were all familiar with each other. Ing Zongtian turned his head back and laughed loudly. Blood shark sovereign, we have not met for several hundred years. Don't insult me like that. Many of the Emperor Wu's present rushed over to greet Ing Zongtian. This newly advanced prime was indeed very attractive. He even overshadowed the main character, Xiaochen. First senior sister, why are you back from the astral battlefield? Xiaochen asked joyfully. The astral battlefield was extremely dangerous. It was great news to see his first senior sister safe and sound. Shui Lingling smiled and said, I'll tell you after the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony ends. Xiaochen nodded and said, after the re-establishment ceremony ends, I have something to give you as well. What is it? I'm not telling you now. What was the gift? Naturally, it was the Emperor Yi shooting sun bow that Xiaochen had left in the universe ring for a long time. Although it no longer had an item spirit, it was once ranked 5th on the divine weapon ranking. When Ing Zongtian arrived, the high platform immediately turned lively. The people in Emperor Wu's circle were familiar with each other in the first place. However, there were no good opportunities for them to meet. Now that they were together, there were naturally many topics to talk about. Immediately, the Western Sea Dragon King and the others felt like they were ignored. They felt very uneasy, all of them sweating profusely, their complexions pale. Seeing that there was no movement in the clouds, the martial emperors understood that the patriarchs and star lords had probably left. With so many sovereign martial emperors and the arrival of Ing Zongtian, even if Zodiac Hall, the Heavenly Province Academy, and the 5 Poison Sect brought out their trump cards, they would not be able to deter this group of people. The re-establishment of the Dragon Sect was inevitable and unstoppable. Xiaochen continued to watch from the clouds, watching as Xiaochen successfully held the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony. Wasn't he just making himself frustrated? The elders of the 3 immortal holy lands and the old men of the ancient noble clans all looked at the instigator of this matter, Ao Lang, with hatred in their eyes. At this moment, Ao Lang was in a daze. He was only thinking of how to escape so that he would not suffer too much humiliation. He simply could not care about the gazes of this group of people. Everyone, we seem to have forgotten about some people. Ing Zongtian smiled faintly and focused his gaze on the distracted Western Sea Dragon King Ao Lang. Immediately, many cold gazes shot at the Western Sea Dragon King like sharp knives. Ing Zongtian said indifferently, You are a 7th Heaven Emperor Wu. You are not very strong, but you are rather capable. You even managed to contact Emperor Forsaken, the Dongyue Ghost Emperor, and the Heaven-Punishing Corpse God. Haotian Prime, you are exaggerating. You are exaggerating. The Western Sea Dragon King no longer had any unruly aura. Not to mention Ing Zongtian, most of the people here were much stronger than him. As for Ing Zongtian, he was in existence on a completely different level. He was not even worth looking at. When Ing Zongtian said that, the Western Sea Dragon King's heart thumped heavily, feeling incredibly nervous. The Blood Shark Sovereign smiled coldly and said, You are indeed quite capable. We just left the Black Sea, and the Supreme Elder of Zodiac Hall used the 9 Heavenly Star formation to trap us to death. That is a formation that the cyclic astral lord of every generation continuously developed to deal with primes. To think that Zodiac Hall received us so politely. Ao Lang wiped the sweat off his forehead and said anxiously, This has nothing to do with me. I did not know that the cyclic astral lord would be so decisive. I was just saying it casually, just casually. I did not promise them any benefits. The Flame Rock Sovereign said angrily, What a great casual remark. It caused us to lose 100 years of our lifespan. Otherwise, we would still be trapped in there. Brother Ao Lang, there is no need to be so humble. My Northern Sea Alliance was blocked by those 2 undying old men from the 5 Poison Sect and the Heavenly Province Academy. They said that they listened to your arrangements. Dugu Kwang glanced at Ao Lang indifferently and said, "It has been many years since anyone dared to tell me to scram. Only you have the courage to do so." Before the murderous gazes of the many major characters, Ao Lang felt very frightened. His legs even turned somewhat soft. Now, Ao Lang finally understood why all those major characters were so enthusiastic when he jumped out to take the lead. The consequences were simply too horrifying. With so many sovereign martial emperors staring at him, there was even a prime watching without anyone noticing. This was even more unbearable than killing him. For more than 1,000 years, the Western Sea Dragon King had never felt so sullen before. Right. The Western Sea Dragon King made us do this. This time, we are in the wrong. This sword accompanied us for 100 years. Take it as a congratulatory gift to the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment. An old man from an ancient noble clan stepped forward and offered a sword to Xiao Chen, trying to use this to escape. Xiao Chen looked coldly at this person. This person's earlier mockery still rang in his ears. However, the affairs of the world were unpredictable. In the blink of an eye, this person lowered his head to Xiao Chen and even casually stepped on the Western Sea Dragon King. There was no need to pay too much attention to such a person. Xiao Chen received the sword and said, "Not bad. It is a good sword. However, I seem to recall that you already sent a congratulatory gift." The old man smiled embarrassedly and said, "It's not a problem. I just sent one more to represent my sincerity. I wish the Blue Dragon King a smooth re-establishment of the Dragon's Gate. This old man cannot remain here any longer. I'll take my leave now." After saying that, the old man flew off, not willing to stay a moment longer. With this person taking the lead, the many remaining elders followed suit, pushing all the blame to the Western Sea Dragon King. After leaving behind a congratulatory gift, they lowered their heads and left. Xiao Chen did not stop them. Things had changed with the passage of time. His mental state had already become much more indifferent. Right now, Xiao Chen was not strong enough. Aside from venting his anger, forcefully humiliating these people would not benefit him at all. "You people are extremely shameless." When the Western Sea Dragon King Ao Lang saw this group of people kicking him while he was down, he became so angry that his entire body trembled. Ying Zongtian laughed loudly and said, "How rare! To think that you can say the word shameless. Little brother, tell me how to deal with him. Today he broke all the rules. There is no need to be polite with him." From Ying Zongtian's calm words, the Western Sea Dragon King felt a murderous intent. A chill immediately ran down his spine. He looked at Xiao Chen and said, "Blue Dragon King, I was in the wrong today. Give me a chance." "I promise." Xiao Chen directly interrupted the Western Sea Dragon King. "There is no need to promise anything. Just scram now." Ao Lang was somewhat in disbelief. "That simple? Did you not hear me clearly? I told you to scram now." Xiao Chen said coldly. "Western Sea Dragon King, scram quickly." Scram. The tens of thousands of guests who had been chased away by the Western Sea Dragon King's arrogant words found an opportunity to vent their frustrations and shouted at the same time. The tens of thousands of people shouted, "Scram," at the same time. Their auras were overwhelming, shaking the sea of clouds. This was probably the meaning of the saying, "Every dog has its day." Ao Lang, who had arrogantly told everyone to scram earlier, had not expected that retribution would happen to him so quickly. Being told to scram by tens of thousands of people at the same time was a rare sight. Ao Lang's face alternated between green and red like he was on fire. I'll go now." Ao Lang held his breath and soared into the air. In the blink of an eye, he traveled 10 kilometers. Ying Zongtian said indifferently, "Letting him go just like that is letting him off too easily. Brother Xiao Chen, you can't just end up hurting your friendship." A murderous intent flashed in Ying Zongtian's eyes as he raised his hand and threw a palm strike. The force traveled 10 kilometers and landed heavily on Ao Lang. Pu Si. Ao Lang vomited a mouthful of blood. His internal organs were all shattered. Then, he fell from the sky like a broken kite and crashed heavily into the ground. After Ao Lang landed, the force of the palm strike did not diminish. It sent him tumbling for more than 500 kilometers. Ao Lang stumbled along the way, covered in wounds and suffering. This gentle palm strike showed the tyrannical air of a prime. After chasing away the Western Sea Dragon King's group, all the guests returned. The atmosphere of the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony became truly lively. Everyone drank to their heart's content, chatting and laughing. It was rare for these greater heavenly martial emperors to gather together. Naturally, they would not miss out on this opportunity. For example, the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea pulled Ing Zongqian over and took turns pouring wine down his throat. They downed cup after cup of the peak wine that Emo Chen brewed, making one feel heartache. Xiao Chen, as the host, you have not offered us a toast yet. This is not right, the Flame Rock Sovereign said with a smile. That's right. That's right. At least 3 cups for each person. How can 3 cups be enough? You don't know that this fellow had a drinking contest with someone in our dark city, drinking 1,000 cups. That became a legend. There is such a thing? In that case, I have to compete with the Blue Dragon King in terms of alcohol tolerance today. When the Flame Rock Sovereign spoke, everyone laughed and jeered, insisting on Xiao Chen offering a toast. Furthermore, Xiao Chen could not even drink 3 cups. Xiao Chen smiled and held up the wine flask, directly offering toasts. Every time he toasted someone, he drank a flask of wine. He was very sincere, prompting everyone to clap and cheer. The success of the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony today had a lot to do with the preparations of the esteemed guests and the people of the Dragon's Gate. After toasting all the guests, Xiao Chen started to offer toasts to his friends in Heaven Dragon City, Emo Chen, Lan Xiaobai, Lan Tianji, Yu Chenxi, and so on, not missing a single one. The activities of the re-establishment ceremony proceeded in an orderly fashion. After that, no one interfered. Everything went smoothly. Xiao Chen, it is time to take off the dragon banner. Lan Xiaobai sent a voice projection. Xiao Chen nodded. The sky had already turned dark and dusk was approaching. The various activities of the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony were now at the final step. With the Haotian Prime here and the many esteemed guests holding down the fort, no one dared to play any tricks. The re-establishment of the Dragon's Gate was unstoppable. Xiao Chen felt heavy in his heart. The Dragon's Gate, which had been destroyed for 10,000 years, was finally going to be re-established in his hands. From now on, Xiao Chen had one less thing to worry about. He had lived up to his responsibilities as a descendant of the Qing Emperor. He also had sufficient confidence to return to the Sky Dome realm and face his father, who chased him out. Many thanks to everyone for coming, allowing the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony to proceed smoothly. Xiao Chen will never forget such kindness. I will definitely repay it in the future. Chapter 1282. Xiao Chen stood up and bowed to all the honored guests present. These friends had all paid a great price to rush over, so they were definitely worthy of his bow. Ing Zongqian smiled faintly. The honored guests present did not stand on ceremony, either. They all revealed smiles as they accepted Xiao Chen's bow. Let us all witness the reappearance of my Xiao clan's Dragon's Gate. Xiao Chen showed a solemn expression as he raised his hand and threw a palm strike. Whoosh! The azure-colored dragon banner covering the Dragon's Gate's mountain tablet gently flew up and peeled off layer by layer. The banner fluttered, and the blue dragon embroidered on it looked like it came to life. The many layers of banners and the swimming blue dragon attracted everyone's attention. Boom! An azure-colored dragon chi gathered into a pillar of light and soared into the sky. The blue dragon on the banner circled the pillar of light and quickly swam around it. Emo Chen took a deep breath. She knew that this was the most exciting moment. A medallion appeared in her hand. This was the Heaven Dragon medallion that controlled the entire Heaven Dragon city. Aside from activating the defensive formation in the city, it had many other special effects. This allowed Emo Chen, who held the Heaven Dragon medallion, to roam around the city with people like Emperor Wu. As Emo Chen formed hand seals with her right hand, the entire Heaven Dragon city became like a coiled-up dragon. It shook its head and wagged its tail, coming to life. Dragon roars resounded, resonating with the azure-colored dragon chi on the Dragon's Gate's mountain tablet. Invisibly, the luck of the world quickly gathered towards the Dragon's Gate's mountain tablet. Luck was ethereal and formless. However, when the luck reached a certain level, it would still show some mysterious phenomena. For example, layers of clouds churned above the Heaven Dragon City. The dark clouds in the surroundings looked like a vast army of horses galloping over endlessly. Lightning flashed, and dragon roars rang out endlessly. Indeed, after the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony successfully concluded, all the luck of the world gathered here. This Heaven Dragon City has many tricks up its sleeves. I wonder who built it. The buildings in the city are like an overwhelming formation, completely merged with the Dragon's Gate's mountain tablet. Incredible! With this, it is likely that the decline of the Western Sea Dragon King in the Western Sea is even more unavoidable. The great figures present all had their own discerning eyes. They all expressed their opinions. He watched as the pillar of light formed by the dragon energy soared into the sky, causing the clouds within 5,000 kilometers to gather. Xiao Chen's heart overflowed with lofty sentiments. He had an impulse to laugh out loud. The Dragon's Gate, which had been destroyed for 10,000 years, was finally recognized by the world today. Inheriting great luck, it would be passed down from generation to generation. The Dragon's Gate would not die, continuing its legend. Boom boom boom. Just at this moment, in the sea region near Heavenly Star Island, towering waves suddenly surged up in all directions, causing the entire place to shake intensely. What's going on? Countless people exclaimed in amazement. The waves surged into the sky and could be clearly seen from thousands of miles away. What kind of evil beast came out from the bottom of the sea? Or was there someone hiding in the dark, trying to disrupt the Dragon's Gate, which was gathering luck? Xiao Chen frowned slightly. Right now, the newly reborn Dragon's Gate was using the geography of the Heaven Dragon City to gather luck. The longer this lasted, the more benefits it would obtain. If something happened at this moment and the Dragon Chi was interrupted, it would not be good. It might even end prematurely. Its luck would plummet, and the auspicious sign would turn into an inauspicious sign in the blink of an eye. Everyone looked at the Haotian Prime. He was the strongest here. With him holding down the fort, would anyone dare to cause trouble? Ying Zongtian smiled faintly and said, "There is no need to panic. This is a gift from the world. The gathering of great luck triggers the eruption of spirit veins." Right after Ying Zongtian spoke, 8 beams of light gathered from the spiritual energy of the world soared into the sky, turning into golden dragons. These dragons flew towards the pillar of light of the Dragon's Gate's mountain tablet. When they touched the pillar of light, they immediately turned into golden rain and fell. Golden spiritual rain. These are holy spirit veins. The Dragon's Gate was just re-established, and 8 holy spirit veins broke out of the sea. This is too much of a coincidence. It is not really a coincidence. In ancient times, there were major characters who established sections. There were even king spirit veins that broke out of the sea. It looks like the world has completely acknowledged the existence of the Dragon's Gate. The gathering of 8 dragons is indeed a congratulatory gift from the world. Blue Dragon King Xiao Chen truly lives up to being an outstanding talent with great luck. Cries of astonishment rang out. Even Xiao Chen felt surprised. However, just at this moment, dark clouds appeared in the sky above the pillar of light where the Dragon Chi gathered, silently approaching. Amid the churning white clouds, that dark cloud was extremely eye-catching. Xiao Chen's heart sank. He felt like someone was causing trouble in the dark. He placed his right hand on his saber hilt and prepared to make a move. Don't. That is a tribulation cloud, a predestined tribulation for you. You cannot escape this tribulation. You cannot dodge it or avoid it. You can only endure it. Ying Zongtian said softly as he placed a hand on Xiao Chen's shoulder. He appeared rather relaxed. However, big brother, the appearance of these tribulation clouds. Xiao Chen said somewhat worriedly. Ying Zongtian smiled and said, "It's fine. The greater the luck, the greater the tribulation. Everyone in history has been like this. There is no need to worry too much about it. Just stay calm." The old characters present also consoled Xiaochen, telling him not to worry. Actually, everyone knew that this tribulation cloud was hinting at the most crucial great tribulation of wind and fire in Xiaochen's life. If he could clear it, then he would whip his horse and Xiaochen would mature completely, turning from a calamity into a dragon. If he could not clear it, then naturally, it would vanish like smoke. Everything would be like a dream. He would wake up the moment he opened his eyes. As the tribulation cloud appeared, the pillar of dragon chi that lasted for a long time slowly vanished. The Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony also came to an end. The time of the major characters had always been precious. They would not spend the night here, so they all took their leave. Xiaochen could not bear to part with them, so he tried to get them to stay. When he could not get them to stay, he personally sent them off. When Xiaochen looked at Ing Zongtian, this prime smiled and said, "Your first senior sister will stay here for 3 days. I have to rush back to check on the Fox King situation." Xiaochen revealed a smile on his face. His first senior sister not leaving was good news. However, the tribulation cloud that appeared at the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony cast a shadow over Xiaochen's heart. He found it hard to treat it calmly, as Ing Zongtian had said. After many twists and turns, the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony startled the entire Kunlun realm. In the end, it ended perfectly. The impact of this matter in the future and the various Holy Lands headaches were not mentioned for now. In Heaven Dragon City, Xiaochen chatted with his first senior sister, Shui Lingling, as he listened to her talk about the various things in the astral battlefield. As they chatted, Xiaochen learned that his first senior sister was already a great perfection blue-robed emperor. Her cultivation was even stronger than that of Lan Xiaobai and Mo Qin. She had returned from the astral battlefield because she was injured. Unexpectedly, she happened to learn that Xiaochen was re-establishing the Dragon's Gate, so she rushed over. The astral battlefield was the highest-level experiential training ground in the entire Kunlun realm. No other place could compare to it. Cultivating there would not only raise one's cultivation quickly, but one's combat prowess would also not fall behind. However, similarly, no experiential training ground in the Kunlun realm could compare to the danger of that place. The strength of the young elites of the Deep Abyss demonic race dealt a heavy blow to these outstanding talents. Furthermore, that was the astral battlefield. Even the seniors would not be able to protect you completely. That place was the true battlefield, the front line of the clash between the Kunlun realm and the Deep Abyss demonic world. Once the various races' astral fortresses fell, the Deep Abyss demonic world could open up astral paths and charge straight to the Kunlun realm. There would be no need to waste time like in the past, using the spatial tears created by the collision of the two realms to enter the Kunlun realm. Xiaochen asked about some of the questions that concerned him. Di Wuk, Wen Xiren, the son of the 3 holy masters, and Juanxi, and the other prime's inheritors. How strong are they now? Shui Lingling smiled and replied, "Their strength improved very quickly. Compared to me, they are much stronger. However, they are all stuck at great perfection blue-robed emperor. None of them can advance to consummation blue-robed emperor. If they knew that despite improving so quickly in the astral battlefield, they still could not compare to you, I wonder what they would think." Xiaochen smiled faintly, appearing rather calm and not overly complacent. He said, "When I was at great perfection blue-robed emperor, I did not accumulate much. I relied on a shortcut to advance to consummation blue-robed emperor. If they could stabilize themselves at great perfection blue-robed emperor for a while, accumulating their strength, they might not be much weaker than me." Furthermore, Xiaochen still had his tribulation in 5 years. Now, he had less than 3 years left. As for who would be able to go further in the future, it was still far from the time to see the results. "That's right. Let's not talk about this for now. I have something to give you." Xiaochen smiled and took out the ancient Emperor Yi shooting sun bow from his universe ring, handing it over. Shui Lingling received it and looked at it suspiciously. After a while, she said excitedly, "This is the Emperor Yi shooting sun bow on the divine weapon ranking. Junior brother Xiaochen, how did you get it? I once asked Master, but he could not help me find it." When Xiaochen saw his first senior sister's happy expression, He revealed a smile as well. Since the first few years after he entered the Kunlun realm, when he was still looking up to this world, his first senior sister had helped him a lot. With such kindness, it would not be too much to use anything to repay him. As long as he liked it, it would be fine. However, it seems like the item spirit is no longer around. Right? The item spirit is indeed no longer around. However, this makes it easier for you to refine it. As long as you refine such a divine weapon, it will automatically give birth to an item spirit. At that time, it will be even closer to you, Xiaochen explained. Shui Lingling carefully put away the Emperor Yi shooting sun bow and said with a smile, I like this bow a lot. Senior sister will not stand on ceremony with junior brother. With this bow, I will be more confident in the astral battlefield. When Xiaochen heard this, he was startled. Senior sister, we still have to return to the astral battlefield? Shui Lingling smiled and said, that is natural. The astral battlefield is just as you said. The great perfection blue-robed emperor needs to accumulate strength. To us, the astral battlefield is the best place to return to. Xiaochen continued asking around, asking about Bai. At the mention of Bai, Shui Lingling revealed an expression of admiration. In the astral battlefield, Bai was one of the most dazzling people. He even obtained the title of the nine-tailed spirit god. When Xiaochen heard this, his lips curled up. Unexpectedly, that drunkard Bai would obtain such a title one day. Chapter 1283. Let's go. We should be preparing a celebratory banquet. We should also go and meet Yu Chenxi, Jin Lin, and the others. Their accomplishments on this island are not low. The Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony ended successfully. Naturally, there had to be a celebratory banquet to properly reward the people of the Dragon's Gate for their hard work. Furthermore, there would be treasures from the Dragon's Gate's treasure trove and Xiaochen's own collection to reward those who contributed. Shui Lingling smiled and said, good. I missed them somewhat as well. Let's see if they suffered at your place. After the bustling celebratory banquet ended, Xiaochen returned to his own peak alone. Then, Xiaochen took out a sage-grade medicinal pill for treating injuries from the universe ring and started to meditate. Xiaochen had not rested properly for the entire day. Now, he needed to treat his injuries properly. Otherwise, the repercussions of deities descending would be hard to get rid of. In today's battle, Xiaochen had blocked 14 3-kilometer-long gargantuan weapons, bringing out all his trump cards. Now, he had a clear understanding of his own strength. Xiaochen's foundation was still far from that of the true Emperor Wu. If it were Emperor Wu with the golden body, he would not be as severely injured as Xiaochen. Half-step golden body. This half-step was a fatal and clear weakness under his seemingly strong appearance. Now that Xiaochen calmed down, the tribulation cloud from the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony appeared in his mind again. The moment the tribulation cloud appeared, the gathering of luck immediately came to a halt. If Xiaochen did not get rid of this tribulation cloud, the fate of the Dragon's Gate would come to an abrupt end. No matter what, the great tribulation of wind and fire was an unavoidable tribulation. It became a great worry for Xiaochen. Even the Flame Rock Sovereign could not imitate Xiaochen's great tribulation of wind and fire. How strong exactly would Xiaochen's great tribulation of wind and fire be? Perhaps I should make a trip home before the great tribulation arrives. Xiaochen muttered to himself as he opened his eyes and finished digesting the sage-grade medicinal pill and recovering from his injuries. If the Sky Dome realm did not allow Emperor Wu to descend and clear this great tribulation of wind and fire, he would not be able to return. If he couldn't make it through, he would definitely suffer a terrible fate. He wouldn't even have the chance to return. As such, there were still more than 2 years before the tribulation. He had to make a trip back and meet the people he needed to meet. The West Ocean Dragon Palace, which was not far from the Heaven Dragon Island, was immersed in a depressing atmosphere. Everyone in the West Ocean Dragon Palace, from the high-level members to the servants, felt extremely depressed. When the luck of the Dragon's Gate gathered, the clouds in the surroundings surged towards the Dragon's Gate like a vast army. They all saw the huge mysterious phenomenon. Everyone knew that now that the Dragon's Gate's luck was formed, the West Sea Dragon Palace, which was closest to it, would definitely be affected. If they had approached him earlier, the West Ocean Dragon Palace might have taken this opportunity to rise to the next level. However, that was clearly impossible now. Everyone in the Divine Dragon Palace knew that when the Western Sea Dragon King rushed back from Heavenly Star Island in a sorry state, the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace and the Dragon's Gate had already fallen out. No one in the West Ocean Dragon Palace could smile when they thought about their future. In the empty palace hall, Ao Lang drank alone, feeling depressed. His sullen expression inspired fear in others. As Xiao Chen drank cup after cup of wine, he suddenly saw a trace of scarlet blood in the wine. Ao Lang roared ferociously and smashed the wine cup into powder. Blood leaked out of Ao Lang's lips uncontrollably. His face twitched in pain. Even now, the palm strike that the prime Ing Zongtian sent out had not healed. A vast energy suppressed Xiao Chen's primordial energy, preventing his internal organs from regenerating on their own. Brother Ao, you are really severely injured this time. At this moment, in the empty hall, a black figure walked toward them. This person was clearly not from the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace. However, he did not seem to startle anyone along the way. Ao Lang felt startled. However, when he saw the appearance of this figure, his wariness slowly faded, replaced with anger. Heavenly Star Treasure Master, what are you doing here? Earlier, I sought you out to disrupt the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony, but you did not agree. Now that I failed, you are here to laugh at me? Ao Lang snorted coldly. This person was none other than Yi Ling's father, the most mysterious and unfathomable treasure master of the heavenly starry ocean. The treasure master took out a jade bottle and said, "The holy pill in this can quickly heal your injuries." What exactly are you here for? Ao Lang received the holy pill and looked at the other party suspiciously. The treasure master smiled faintly and replied, "Nothing much. I'm just giving you a chance to take revenge in the future." 2 months later, the commotion over the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment slowly calmed down. Amid all sorts of controversy and discussions, the Dragon's Gate that was destroyed 10,000 years ago was finally re-established. Immediately, it attracted countless cultivators who wanted to join the Dragon's Gate. They all wanted to see the glory of the Dragon's Gate, to see what was different about this new Dragon's Gate. However, Xiao Chen did not open the Dragon's Gate to the public. The new disciples of the Dragon's Gate were all local youths and talented cultivators of Heavenly Star Island. Firstly, there were not enough resources. Secondly, Xiao Chen did not have any ambitions or any thoughts of expanding his strength. In the past 2 months, Xiao Chen did not do much. He only made another trip to the Black Sea and persuaded the 13 great bandits of the Black Sea to give lessons at the Dragon's Gate once a year. This was equivalent to a sovereign martial emperor personally teaching the Dragon's Gate every month, making up for the lack of peak strength of the Dragon's Gate. Now that 2 months had passed, everything in the Dragon's Gate was back on track. Actually, it was not much different from before. However, the cultivators on the island could now puff out their chests and call themselves people of the Dragon's Gate. They no longer had to refer to themselves as cultivators of Heavenly Star Island. The Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace no longer dared to come and mock the Dragon's Gate. After the lesson from the Haotian Prime, Ao Lang would not dare to mess around. At this moment, on a dueling platform on the Dragon's Gate's main peak, 4 delicate and pretty youths were waving the long sabers in their hands and practicing the basic saber techniques. A white figure watched extremely seriously from outside the dueling platform, not missing a single detail. A pretty girl with a mischievous look in her eyes stood beside this person. Naturally, this person was Xiao Chen. Standing beside him was Yu, who had been in charge of teaching the new disciples. Basic saber techniques had only 8 main points: raise, stab, intercept, block, wipe, carry, chop, and chop. The seemingly simple basic saber techniques actually encompassed everything. All the magnificent saber techniques that could be used in actual combat could not do without these 8 main points. As someone with experience, Xiao Chen understood this very well. He knew how important basic saber techniques were to a bladesman. As for why Xiao Chen was here, It naturally had something to do with you. Back then, Xiao Chen had promised her that he would take some time out to teach the new disciples. Hence, he got you to pick out a few youths with more talented saber techniques and give them some pointers. When the 4 youths learned that the Blue Dragon King would personally teach them, they were both anxious and filled with anticipation. After they saw Xiao Chen, they all brought out their abilities. All of them executed their saber techniques in a tyrannical manner or with a boundless aura, trying to attract Xiao Chen's attention. When Xiao Chen saw this, he nodded to himself. These 4 were all very talented. They were only 12 or 13 years old, and they already touched the threshold of saber intent. They would probably be able to comprehend saber intent in another year or 2. After that, Xiao Chen corrected the saber techniques that the 4 youths used. Then, Xiao Chen instructed the 4 to focus on practicing basic saber techniques and solidifying their foundations. Furthermore, he personally demonstrated them. At first, these 4 youths were somewhat unconvinced. However, after they saw Xiao Chen's seemingly ever-changing yet extremely simple basic saber techniques, they no longer had any complaints. Occasionally, Xiao Chen would check on these 4 youths and discover that they had made good progress. What do you think, big brother Xiao Chen? Will these 4 treasures of mine be able to produce a saber sovereign in the future? You said proudly at the side. Xiao Chen laughed. This goal was really ambitious. Even he did not dare to say whether he could become a saber sovereign or not. Hey, what are you laughing at? Quickly say it. Yu was unhappy. Right now, her heart ached the most for her group of treasured disciples. Feeling helpless, Xiao Chen said objectively, they are all very talented. If nothing unexpected happens, there will be no problem for them to become martial sages. If they have sufficient opportunities, becoming Emperor Wu is not a wild guess. However, becoming a saber sovereign is a little difficult. You smiled and said, Emperor Wu is pretty good as well. If I, Yu, can groom an Emperor Wu, I will be very proud. Big brother Xiao. Just at this moment, the veiled emotion appeared on a small mountain path and called out to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen felt excited. It seemed that he had made some progress on the matter that he had entrusted her with, so he could make a move now. You, I will probably be back for a long time. I'll leave these disciples to you. Hearing that Xiao Chen was leaving, the 4 youths practicing the saber immediately stopped and asked, Sect Master, when will you be back? When you return, we will definitely cultivate our basic saber techniques to perfection. Sect Master, what are you going to do? Xiao Chen turned his head back and smiled. I'm going to meet the person who taught me the basic saber techniques. Cultivate well. When I return, I will test you all. Xiao Chen saw a shadow of himself in this group of youths. He also remembered the girl who taught him the basic saber techniques at Qingyun Peak. That was a beautiful memory, engraved in his mind. No matter how much time passed, he would never forget it. The transportation formation is ready. Are you sure it can send us to the Sky Dome realm? Xiao Chen asked anxiously as he arrived beside Imochen. Imochen answered, Debao already sent someone to deliver the superior-grade astral cores that we need. The transportation formation connecting to the Sky Dome realm is in the Great Qin Nation's royal court. The Great Qin Nation's royal court? Xiao Chen had long guessed that the Great Qin Nation's royal court was a branch of the Kunlun realm Xing clan. Now, it looked like his guess was correct. Otherwise, a lower realm royal court would not be able to control a transportation formation to the upper realm. Let's go then, Xiao Chen said. However, Imochen did not move. Instead, she looked like she wanted to say something but hesitated. Xiao Chen stopped and asked, What's wrong, Imochen? Big brother Xiao, are you sure you want to return to the Sky Dome realm? Imochen asked. Xiao Chen nodded and said, After 2 months of quiet cultivation, I can already sense my limits from a distance. Right now, I have to be very careful when I cultivate, not daring to raise my cultivation too much. I need to return to the Sky Dome realm before my great tribulation of wind and fire. Chapter 1284. Regardless of whether Xiao Chen cleared his great tribulation of wind and fire or not, he would not have another chance to return. He could only make a trip down before he returned. How long will it take? 1 year, perhaps 2 years. Back then, Xiaochen only had 2.5 years left to advance to Martial Emperor. He could stay in the Sky Dome realm for at most 2 years. Chen said seriously, I want to accompany you. I know that Big Brother Xiao wants to undergo his tribulation in the Sky Dome realm. I promised you that I would protect you when you undergo your tribulation. Xiaochen smiled and said, Thank you. I thought you were going to say something. I will not undergo my tribulation in the Sky Dome realm. Undergoing a tribulation there is just seeking death. Be it the Thunder King or the Deep Abyss Demon Monarchs, they will not agree to it. Chen blinked and asked, Really? Xiaochen nodded and said, Really? I'm not lying to you. If I want to undergo my great tribulation of wind and fire, I will definitely undergo it on the Dragon's Gate. It is more stable here. Chen smiled and said, Right, that is for the best. Let's go. I'll send Big Brother Xiao back now. The two flew and soon arrived at the transportation formation on Heavenly Star Island. The superior-grade astral cores in the transportation formation were already prepared. Yu Chenxi, Gong Yangyu, and Xianyuan Zhantian had already arrived at the transportation formation. They intended to return with Xiaochen. Xiaochen took a step forward and landed beside the three. He asked casually, Are you sure you want to return with me? There are no cultivation conditions in the Sky Dome realm. Yu Chenxi nodded and said with a smile, I'm sure. I really want to see how my master is doing. I missed the opportunity to return last time. This time, I'm already in the blue-robed emperor realm. I have to go back. Gong Yangyu said, This is a rare opportunity. If I go back by myself, I don't know if I can gather so many superior-grade astral cores. Xianyuan Zhantian smiled and said, I want to see my father. I have not seen him for many years. I wonder how he will smile when he sees my current strength. When Xiaochen heard Xianyuan Zhantian's words, he felt slightly stunned. On this trip to the Sky Dome realm, he had to formally meet the father who chased him out. Chen said softly, Take care. The superior-grade astral core on the ancient transportation formation started to burn. The light of the formation lines swam around like flames. However, when the formation was fully activated, it instantly gave off a bright light. When the light dissipated, there was no one left on the teleportation formation. Chen's heart felt empty. Amid flashes of light, Xiaochen's group appeared in the transportation formation of the Great Qin Nation's royal court in the Sky Dome realm. The Great Qin Nation's Princess Yu and a group of old men from the royal court were already waiting outside the transportation formation. Have we reached the Sky Dome realm? After so many years, I am really not used to the spiritual energy here. Gong Yangyu stretched out his hand and sighed. The Sky Dome realm was just a small world materialized from the Sky Dome Immortal Lord's residence during the Immortal Epic. Naturally, it could not compare to a great world like the Kunlun realm. It was not just Xiaochen. Yu Chenxi and Xianyuan Zhantian were also not used to it. On the other hand, Xiaochen was more casual. He mainly used Origin Essence Stones to cultivate. Now that he had more than 20,000 Origin Essence Stones, it was enough for him to cultivate for a long time. As for cultivating primordial energy, there was no difference whether it was in the Sky Dome realm or the Kunlun realm. Furthermore, Xiaochen had come back once before and stayed there for 2 years. He did not need any time to adapt. Brother Xiaochen, I'm returning to the Eastern Sea. I'll say goodbye here first. Xianyuan Zhantian took a deep breath, showing an excited expression. He could not wait to return. Yu Chenxi and Gong Yangyu took their leave at the same time, heading for the Great Qin Nation. After everyone left, Yu stepped forward and asked, How long will you be back this time? You are returning to Mo City, right? Xiaochen nodded. This time, he intended to go to Mo City first before going to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. In that case, go quickly. After being away for more than 10 years, your father must be regretting it now, Yu said gently with a faint smile. The other party's aura had not changed. He was clad in golden battle armor and exuded a noble aura. Xiaochen glanced at the transportation formation behind him and said, Given the royal court's ability, they should be able to send you to the Kunlun realm. Why have you not gone yet? Although traveling between the Sky Dome realm and the Kunlun realm required a large number of superior-grade astral cores, such that even the 9 ranks of the great families could not casually send them there, the Ing clan's strength was sufficient. However, with the Ing clan's strength, they could definitely afford the price. Ing Yu also had sufficient talent to cultivate in the Kunlun realm. Ing Yu smiled and took out the longevity lock on her chest. She smiled and said, "Because of this, I am born with a weak physique. If I cannot live past 10 years in the Kunlun realm, I can only extend my life in this small world by relying on the longevity lock." Xiao Chen now understood. The first time he met Ing Yu, he had noticed this longevity lock. At that time, he had found it strange. She was already an adult, yet she wore a longevity lock. It turned out that there was such a connection. However, when Xiao Chen asked about the reason for her physique, Ing Yu was not willing to talk about it. She only urged him to go to Mo City quickly. Xiao Chen did not force it. He looked in the direction of Mo City and sent out his spiritual sense. The aura of the Kunlun realm was too strong. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense was obstructed and could not extend it too far. However, there were no obstructions at all in this small world. With his spiritual sense, he could clearly see a small portion of the Sky Dome realm. After all, Xiao Chen's combat prowess was equal to that of a peak second heaven martial emperor, Emperor Wu. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense quickly located Mo City. Then, he tore space and moved at lightning speed through the spatial tear. After several dozen breaths, he traveled 5,000 kilometers and arrived at Mo City in the blink of an eye. After landing, Xiao Chen thought back to his earlier conversation with Ing Yu. He regretted not asking about Lu Riyue's situation. Ing Yu also found it strange. She clearly knew that Xiao Chen had returned, but she did not take the initiative to tell him about Lu Riyue. Never mind, let's not think about this anymore. After returning a few times, Xiao Chen went to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion first. This time, no matter what, he had to return to Mo City first. Furthermore, it was different from his usual observation from afar. He wanted to make a personal trip to the Shao clan and enter the gates. Xiao Chen did not need to use his spiritual sense to check the terrain of Mo City, it was imprinted in his mind. He walked on the main road like an ordinary person, blending into the crowd and heading for the Shao clan's residence at the foot of Seven Horn Mountain. Along the way, Xiao Chen discovered that there were many people traveling with him. Based on the discussions of the passers-by, this road seemed to lead to a city and not the Shao clan's residence. Strange, what's going on? Did I remember the way wrong? Xiao Chen squinted. At the limits of his vision, 50 kilometers away, there was indeed a vast and majestic city. Compared to this city, Mo City was like a simple and crude village. It could not compare at all. However, the direction was not wrong. He could vaguely see the silhouette of Seven Horn Mountain behind this city. Strange, why do I not remember there being a city comparable to a county city so close to Mo City? After not seeing it for 10 years, the vast sea really turned into mulberry fields? Xiao Chen increased his speed. To a regular person, his speed was neither fast nor slow, walking step by step. However, this step covered a kilometer. As he crossed it, he silently left most of the people behind. Shao Clan City. When Xiao Chen saw the 3 large words on the city gates, he understood. So, this was a city established by the Shao Clan. It looked like the Shao Clan's luck was very good. They had been developing very well in the past few years. Xiao Chen remembered that when he first returned and met Xiao Jian had given him many secret treasures, spirit stones, and secret manuals. These were not considered peak items in the Kunlun realm. However, in the Sky Dome realm, they were extremely rare treasures. They would be of great help to Xiao Chen. Below the city gates, Xiao Chen could not help but feel rueful. He thought back to his time in the Shao clan. At that time, he had to face the pressure of the Zhang clan and the Tang clan, as well as the eyes of the county city's factions. His days had been much harder than now. Clan head, please take back your orders. Don't chase second young master away. Plup. The Shao clan disciple with another family name, Yi Lan, knelt on the ground and pleaded on behalf of Xiao Chen. First uncle, don't chase elder brother Xiao Chen away. He is now the hero of our Shao clan. The eccentric Shaoling also knelt on the ground and looked anxiously at the Shao clan's clan head, Shao Xiong. Clan head, please take back your orders. Don't chase second young master away. The Shao clan disciples, who had undergone experiential training with Shao Chen in Gloomy Forest, knelt together. Shao Yulan, Shao Jian, and the other disciples all knelt down, pleading on behalf of Shao Chen. Shao Xiong's gaze was filled with pain, but he remained unmoved. He chased Shao Chen away. Shao Chen felt like he was dreaming. When he recalled those scenes, it felt like they happened just yesterday. Shao Chen took a deep breath, and his scattered thoughts returned to reality. I once watched from afar. Today, I can finally walk in openly. Shao Chen scanned the entire Shao clan city with his spiritual sense. Then, he opened his eyes again and pushed off the ground. He soared into the air and disappeared from the city gates. This caused the guards at the city gates to panic. Seal the city gates. Quickly, go and report to the clan head. A mysterious expert has arrived at Shao clan city. There were even martial saints soaring into the air above the city gates, trying to figure out where Shao Chen was. However, with Shao Chen's strength, how could they find him? Shao clan city, the original Shao clan residence had already been expanded into the city lord's residence. Suddenly, Shao Chen landed in front of the heavily guarded gates of the city lord's residence. He did not even raise a speck of dust. Who is it? When the guards at the gates discovered Shao Chen, they immediately shouted coldly. They drew their weapons and formed a team, surrounding Shao Chen. The person leading them was a martial saint. He had the appearance of a stern youth. Shao Chen found this person familiar, but he could not recall where he had seen him before. Suddenly, that youth's expression turned somewhat excited. He asked probingly, "Are you second young master?" Second young master. When the surrounding guards heard this, they were stunned. Their killing intent immediately vanished. Could this person before them be the legendary second young master of the Sky Dome realm? Shao Chen smiled. A certain memory flashed in his mind. I remember you. Back then, I led a team to Gloomy Forest to hunt for demon cores. You were one of them. However, it has been too long. I can't quite remember your name. Ha! It really is second young master. I am Shao He. Unexpectedly, second young master still remembers me. This is truly unexpected. Truly unexpected. The stern youth revealed wild joy on his face as he laughed loudly. Shao He turned his head and said, "Quickly greet second young master." Chapter 1285. Greetings, second young master, the guards said respectfully as they knelt at the same time. Shao Chen smiled and quickly got everyone to stand up. There's no need to be so polite. Quickly, go and report to the clan head and first young master. Second young master is back. Hurry up. Shao He said excitedly. His speech was somewhat unclear. Immediately, someone rushed to the gates. Shao He said respectfully, "Second young master, come, let's go in. Old master and first young master have been missing you." However, when Shao Chen reached the gates and saw them, he hesitated. "Second young master, what's wrong?" Shao He asked, finding it strange. "Is it because of the homesickness? I have been longing to return for a long time already." However, when the moment finally arrived, when I stood before the gates, Shao Chen hesitated. Smiling self-mockingly, Shao Chen clarified his heart. After hesitating for only a moment, he made up his mind. "Nothing, I was just thinking of some things of the past," Shao Chen said softly. Shao Chen said softly and continued walking forward. Shao He followed behind him, pointing the way. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Finally, Shao Chen crossed the gates. After so many years, Shao Chen stepped into the Shao clan once again. When Shao Chen stepped through the gates, he felt like a knot in his heart had been untied. He felt incredibly relaxed. Actually, after so many years in the Kunlun realm, Shao Chen already understood his father's painstaking efforts. The Shao clan's bloodline had been exiled here. They no longer had any capital. Shao Chen simply did not dare to let a descendant with the blue dragon martial spirit remain in the Shao clan for the sake of the hundreds of lives of the Shao clan. Back then, Xiao Xiong had to make the decision to chase away his own son. Actually, Xiao Chen never hated this father of his, just like when Xiao Xiong chased him away. Xiao Chen did not complain much. Instead, he knelt 3 times to thank his father. Each time, he kowtowed until his head bled. Before long, majestic footsteps came from the front. Without even using his spiritual sense, Xiao Chen knew who was coming. Xiao Chen stopped. In mere moments, a group of people met up with him. Xiao Jian took the lead, with Xiao Linger and Yi Lan at his sides. In the middle of the group was a familiar yet strange face, Xiao Chen's father, Xiao Xiong. When their eyes met, the indelible connection between their bloodlines made Xiao Chen feel a sense of closeness for some reason. He could not help but say, "Father, I've returned." The words "Lord Father" caused Xiao Xiong, a man of steel, to tear up. After more than 10 years, Xiao Chen's temperament had changed greatly. His delicate appearance looked like that of a 17 or 18-year-old boy. "Ah, a second young master, you're finally back. Hurry up and come over. Little sister Ling really wants to die." Xiao Xiong did not move. Instead, Xiao Linger and Yi Lan quickly surrounded him. Everyone was talking at the same time, bombarding him with questions. This group of people did not treat Xiao Chen as the Blue Dragon King. They only treated him as the Xiao clan's second young master, a relative who had not returned for more than 10 years. The strong familial love surrounded Xiao Chen, making him happy and forgetting the worries of the Kunlun realm. "Are you really Xiao Chen's elder brother? Why do you look younger than Linga? Quickly prove yourself. Otherwise, I will not let you in." Xiao Ling rejoiced, but she was still as mischievous as before. Xiao Jian lectured, "Stop messing around. Father has not said anything yet." Xiao Xiong revealed a rare smile on his face. "It's good that you're back. Let's have a meal. I already got the servants to prepare it." Xiao Chen nodded and said, "I'll listen to Lord Father." The meeting of father and son was unexpectedly harmonious. The awkwardness that Xiao Chen imagined did not exist before the familial love. This meal was the happiest that Xiao Chen had eaten in many years. In the Kunlun immortal world, he had stayed in many top-notch hotels and eaten all kinds of spirit beast delicacies, but none of them could compare to this place. Putting it on the table, Xiao Chen gave a simple answer to his cousin's questions. Of course, he did not mention the dangers he encountered in the Kunlun realm and the difficulties he faced along the way. The entire Xiao residence was immersed in joy. The return of Xiao Chen made everyone in the residence extremely happy. After the meal, Xiao Jian went to Xiao Chen's room alone and led him to his father's study. "Big brother, have you ever thought of going to Kunlun?" Xiao Chen asked casually on the way. When he returned to the Xiao family, he wanted the Xiao family disciples to bring them to the Kunlun realm, although he didn't have the luxury to bring all of Xiao Chen's family with him. However, it should not be a problem to bring along 2 or 3 of his closest relatives. He could still afford the consumption of resources. However, the most important question was whether the Xiao family disciples were willing or not. Xiao Jian shook his head and said, "If I had this opportunity 10 years ago, I would have been willing to take the risk. However, I am already in my 30s and have missed the golden age. If I went again, I would not be able to do much." Big brother seemed to be very rational and did not treat the Kunlun realm as a paradise. Actually, this was what Xiao Chen was worried about as well. After hearing Xiao Jian's thoughts, he did not insist. "Go in by yourself. Father has something to say to you in private," Xiao Jian said in front of the study. After sorting out his thoughts, Xiao Chen pushed open the door and entered the study. Xiao Chen's father, Xiao Xiong, was currently flipping through a book. When he saw Xiao Chen, he put down the book and looked at Xiao Chen in a daze. After a long time, Xiao Xiong put down the book and said softly, "Aside from homesickness, you should have other matters to discuss with me. Tell me about them." After a long time, Xiao Xiong put down the book and said softly, "Aside from homesickness, you should have other matters to discuss. Tell me about them." Xiao Chen answered honestly, "I rebuilt the Dragon's Gate and want to bring in some of the talented children of the Xiao clan." "What?" Xiao Xiong stood up from his chair and walked over to Xiao Chen. He exclaimed in disbelief, his expression extremely shocked. "Were you injured?" How did you survive? Why did you rebuild the Dragon's Gate? A series of questions came out of Xiao Xiong's mouth. The first thing he cared about was whether Xiao Chen was injured or not how strong he was. This made Xiao Chen feel warmth in his heart. Xiao Chen smiled and said, "This child is fine. Even if the minor heavenly realm Emperor Wu wants to kill me, this child has a way to deal with it." Comparable to Emperor Wu's strength? Xiao Xiong was shocked once again. After a long time, his eyes became somewhat moist. He said softly, "It looks like I made a mistake back then. I should not have chased you away. I was wrong. It was also because I was not strong enough that you suffered so much." Xiao Chen said seriously, "No, Lord Father, you don't have to blame yourself. After everything that happened in the Kunlun realm, I already understood Father's good intentions. This child is unfilial. I passed by your house a few times but did not enter. I should have returned long ago. I should not have run away." Seeing the tears in his father's eyes, Xiao Chen's heart turned sour. He knelt on the ground and said the words that he had suppressed in his heart for a long time: "This child was wrong. No excuse can be used as a reason to pass by my house and not enter. Father must have been worried about me day and night for the past 10 years. I should have returned long ago." Xiao Xiong could no longer hold back the tears in his eyes. The knot in his heart that he had been brooding over finally opened up with Xiao Chen's words. It turned out that his son did not blame him long ago. After not seeing him for more than 10 years, his son had become an existence comparable to Emperor Wu. "Get up. Quickly get up. I don't blame you. I, Xiao Xiong, have never blamed you. I only hate myself for being helpless. I am not surprised that you have today's accomplishments. It is just that I was so weak back then and could not protect you." Xiao Xiong quickly helped Xiao Chen up. Not letting him kneel on the ground was something he could not bear. Xiao Chen stood up and said, "There is no need. Let this child protect Father and the Xiao clan. I, Xiao Chen, swear that as long as I am around, no one will be able to harm the Xiao clan." Under the lantern light, the father and son chatted for a long time. Unknowingly, the sky slowly brightened. The Xiao clan has been in exile for a long time. We no longer have any inheritances. Only this ring is passed down from generation to generation. It is also the symbol of the clan head. Today, I will pass it to you. Xiao Xiong took off an ancient azure ring and handed it to Xiao Chen, not allowing him to refuse. Xiao Chen checked it and immediately felt an ancient aura spreading out from the ring. This ring was indeed an item from the ancient era. However, he did not sense any energy from the ring. It was like some kind of energy was sealing it, hiding its true nature. "Chen, now that I pass this ring to you, you are now the clan head of our Xiao clan. You probably know the Xiao clan's rules. I will not say much, but I will warn you." Xiao Chen nodded and said, "Right. Father, please speak. Your child will listen." Xiao Xiong said seriously, "Regardless of whether you walk the righteous path or the evil path, I will not blame you. However, remember not to become a second Qing Emperor. Qing Emperor Xiao Teng is a sinner of our Xiao clan. This has been passed down from generation to generation." Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. How could there be such a saying? Qing Emperor helped the Dragon's Gate conquer a vast territory, establishing a supreme prestige. Even if the Dragon's Gate was destroyed at his hands, his merits would offset his faults. He would not be a sinner. After all, the Qing Emperor was a member of the Xiao clan. Why did the ancestors pass down this saying, using such a serious stance to warn the later generations? Lord Father, why? The Qing Emperor was responsible for the destruction of the Dragon's Gate. However, it was not what he wanted. Why did the ancestors warn the later generations? Xiao Chen carefully put away the ring. Then he looked at Xiao Xiong and voiced his doubts. The word sinner was simply too heavy. Not only that, but there was also the need to warn the later generations. Did the Qing Emperor really do something unforgivable? Xiao Xiong said gravely, "There are some things that only the clan head can know. Today, you are wearing this blue dragon ring, so you are qualified to know. This is the secret of our Xiao clan. Remember not to spread it." After Xiao Teng became a martial emperor, he actually entered a state of berserking qi deviation and entered the demonic Tao. His temperament changed greatly. For the sake of breaking through Emperor Wu's shackles, he was unscrupulous. Countless people died at his hands. Not to mention the experts of the other races, his good friends, lovers, and the master who taught him all died under his saber. When Xiao Chen heard this, he was greatly startled. That's impossible. I once saw the Dragon's Gate's war venerates. When they mentioned the Qing Emperor, they all respected him. They were even more loyal to the Dragon's Gate until death. Chapter 1286. If the Qing Emperor was really such a person, it would be impossible for him to gain so much respect from the entire Dragon's Gate. How could a demon who entered the demonic Tao gain so much respect? Xiao Chen knew about the Qing Emperor's tyranny. However, tyranny was one thing. Killing his friends and family, killing his lovers, he had already entered the demonic Tao. Xiao Chen could accept a person's tyranny, but he absolutely could not accept such actions. Xiao Xiong sighed softly, secrets are secrets. Naturally, ordinary people do not know about them. Not many people in the Dragon's Gate know about this. In the eyes of the Qing Emperor, the Dragon's Gate was just a chess piece on his path of cultivation. How could he let such secrets leak out? He only entered the demonic Tao and did not lose his intelligence. He even managed to escape the shackles in his heart. His thoughts are even more meticulous than ordinary people's. Xiao Chen understood. Back when he entered the demonic Tao, he had heard the old man from the Five Poison sect mention it. Some people did not lose their rationality after entering the demonic Tao. They even knew how to hide, making them even more difficult to deal with. However, was the Qing Emperor such a person? Xiao Chen really could not accept this. For the sake of breaking the shackles in his heart, he killed his lover, his friends, and his teacher. If not for the Dragon's Gate being useful to him, he would have mercilessly attacked the entire Dragon's Gate. For some reason, Xiao Chen instinctively did not believe all this. Even if it was true, there had to be another reason. However, Xiao Chen's father's words were passed down from generation to generation. It should not be wrong. Furthermore, when Xiao Chen was re-establishing the Dragon's Gate, the obstruction he faced. Even the various holy lords jumped out. When Xiao Chen connected this to his father's words, it was like they were corroborating each other, telling him that the words of his ancestors were correct. Xiao Xiong explained, "Don't overthink. It does not matter what the world thinks or what the ancestors of the Shao clan in the Kunlun realm think. You just need to be clear about your own heart. I see the shadow of the Qing Emperor in you. However, your heart of innocence has never changed. Father believes in you." Xiao Chen nodded. "I know. I have never thought of becoming the second Qing Emperor. Father, don't worry. Re-establishing the Dragon's Gate is my responsibility as a descendant of the Shao clan. I do not have any ambition. I just want the Dragon's Gate's legacy to continue." A gratified smile appeared on Xiao Xiong's face. Which father wouldn't be happy to see his son so capable? "Stay here for a few more days. If there are any suitable youths, pick a few and send them up. There is no need to settle everything in one go. Let's take it slow for now. After several hundred years, our Shao family will be able to prosper in the Kunlun realm." After coming out of his father's study, Xiao Chen's heart felt heavy. Xiao Chen could not help but feel heavy. In the Kunlun realm, he had always considered himself a descendant of the Qing Emperor. Sitting on the roof and looking at the starry sky, Xiao Chen thought about the unparalleled existence that swept through the Kunlun realm. It turned out that he was a demon. A book appeared in his hand. It was The Art of Good and Evil Merit. Looking at the black and white cover, Xiao Chen did not actually open it. Instead, he thought about some of the clues he knew. That's not right. There are too many doubts in this. Many of them do not make sense. After carefully putting away The Art of Good and Evil Merit, Xiao Chen frowned and pondered. Perhaps the only one who knows the truth is the Thunder King. The item spirit in the Blue Dragon Palace should know as well. That old fellow is very mysterious and seems to have a very close relationship with the Qing Emperor. The Thunder King is not easy to see, and he does not have much lifespan left. If Xiao Chen really wants to find out more, he will have to make a trip to the Blue Dragon Palace after advancing to Martial Emperor. "Xiao Chen, why are you thinking so much?" You did not come to the lower realms to seek trouble. Come with me. I want to go to Seven-Horn Mountain, Ao Jiao said as she came out of the immortal spirit ring. Shao Chen revealed a smile on his face. Since Little Yellow Feather turned into the Golden Crow egg, he had not seen Ao Jiao speak for a long time. Since Ao Jiao asked, naturally, Shao Chen agreed. Seven-Horn Mountain was the place where the Thunder King died. He also wanted to go there. With a few steps, the two arrived at the place where the Thunder King died. The Sky Dome realm did not allow Emperor Wu to descend. However, for a dying person, be it the upper echelon of the Kunlun realm or the Deep Abyss demon monarchs, they would not interfere. There were no longer any secrets in the cave. To outsiders, it no longer held any attraction. It had been empty for a long time. Now, it was overgrown with weeds and thorns, completely sealing the entrance. Shao Chen flicked his finger, and a saber light flashed. All the weeds turned to dust. As Shao Chen looked at the entrance, he felt deeply moved. This place was the first fortuitous encounter that changed his fate. If Shao Chen had not met Ao Jiao, he might have lost his life in Cheesy County. Without the inheritance that the Thunder King gave him, he would not have been able to walk the path of a bladesman, and he would not have had all his accomplishments in the future. This was the place where Shao Chen's dreams began, as well as the place where his story began. Now that he returned to this place, he could not help but feel a wondrous feeling in his heart. He sighed at the wonders of fate. Ao Jiao, I've always had a question. Why is the restriction of the Thunder King's place of death so simple? Back then, that restriction could only block martial saints. To the current Shao Chen, it was practically negligible. Ao Jiao smiled and said, "You are really silly. You can't even figure this out. If Sang Mu made the restrictions too difficult, he would not be able to do so. If Sang Mu made the restriction too difficult, wouldn't I be sealed here forever, with no one able to free me?" Shao Chen revealed an expression of understanding. It turned out that it was so simple. To think that he could not think of it. Why did the Thunder King choose this place for his death? Sang Mu was a citizen of the Great Qin nation in the first place. He was born poor. His parents were just ordinary hunters at the foot of Seven-Horn Mountain. He chose to die here only because of his longing for the place. As the two chatted, they recalled some of their earliest memories. Occasionally they would smile. "Do you remember how proud you were back then, always calling me Trash Master?" "Naturally, I remember. Back then you were just trash. Furthermore, you were so arrogant and unconvinced. Everyone has been arrogant in their youth. Thinking back, I did indeed show off my abilities, not knowing how to restrain myself. I offended all the noble clans of the Great Qin nation. Now that I think about it, that period of time was truly carefree, without any worries." The two chatted for a long time at the entrance. Then Shao Chen said, "Come, let's go in and take a look." However, Ao Jiao shook her head and said, "There's no need. The memories that this place brought me are long gone. I came here just to reminisce about the past after I left this place." "The past after I left this place?" Shao Chen thought about it and understood. Ao Jiao had already walked out of the knot in her heart from the Thunder King's death. "Let's spend the night here then." The moonlight was very good. Shao Chen decided to spend the night here, reminiscing about the first time he came to Seven-Horn Mountain. In the boundless night, Shao Chen took off the blue dragon ring. Then he frowned and started to study it. Given his current eyesight, he could tell that there was a seal in the ring. As for what exactly it was, he needed time to figure it out. If only Mo Chen were here. Given her talent in formations, it would not be difficult for her. "I really want to know what is hidden in this ring," Shao Chen muttered to himself. In the Shao Clan city, Shao Chen set up the 9 iron defense magic formations. He modified the formation plate so that as long as one possessed the Shao Clan's bloodline and the formation plate, they could activate the iron defense magic formations. The original iron defense magic formations required primordial energy to activate. After Shao Chen modified them, its might naturally weakened. However, the 9 iron defense magic formations had the advantage in numbers. When stacked together, they could block an attack on the level of Emperor Wu. In this Sky Dome realm, they were impregnable, no one could break them. Even if Xiaochen wanted to break them, he would have to spend a lot of time and primordial energy. Aside from this, Xiaochen discovered 3 10-year-old youths among the Xiao clan's younger generation. They had pretty good talent and were worth sending to the Kunlun realm to be nurtured. It looked like Xiaochen's luck had affected the main clan, allowing the Xiao clan to produce 3 young geniuses. The people of Xiao Jian's generation no longer had much room for improvement. To them, the Kunlun realm was not a blessed land. They might as well remain in the Sky Dome realm. After bringing 3 more people back to the Kunlun realm, Xiaochen would have to spend another 30,000 superior-grade astral cores. Even though Xiaochen was rich and overbearing, he found this somewhat unbearable. No wonder the people of the Kunlun realm did not casually go to the lower realms. 1 month passed. After he finished what he needed to do, Xiaochen rushed to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion somewhat impatiently. Xiaochen's spiritual sense detected the presence of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. He immediately tore space and entered a spatial tear, rushing over at lightning speed. There were no obstructions in this spatial tear. A person's speed could be increased infinitely, even faster than lightning. In merely a few breaths, Xiaochen appeared in the sky above the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's Qingyun Peak. He scanned the area with his spiritual sense but did not discover Lu Riyue. She is not at Qingyun Peak. She probably went out. Xiaochen did not worry. With Lu Riyue's current strength, she should be able to protect herself in the Sky Dome realm. Xiaochen did not find Lu Riyue, but he did find Lu Suifeng. This brat had not changed at all. Revealing a smile on his face, Xiaochen silently appeared behind Lu Suifeng. Lu Suifeng was currently drinking wine in the courtyard, humming a tune in satisfaction. He was clearly in a good mood. Coincidentally, Xinyun has not been around for the past few days. My days have become much more comfortable. Tomorrow I will go to the other peaks. Juren Peak seems to have accepted a new female disciple. She is very pretty. I will go to Juren Peak. Xiaochen smiled faintly. It looked like his wife was very strict with this brother-in-law of his. Suifeng, it turns out that you have such thoughts. When junior sister Xinyun returns, I have to tell her about it. Suddenly, Xiaochen spoke, deciding to tease Lu Suifeng. Who is it? Lu Suifeng was so startled that he vomited a mouthful of wine. When he turned his head back, he recognized Xiaochen's appearance. He revealed an expression of extreme joy and said, "Big brother Xiaochen, so it is you. You are back again. You scared me to death." Big brother? Didn't Suifeng always call me brother-in-law? Xiaochen smiled and asked, "Where's your sister?" My sister? Lu Suifeng said with some confusion, "Big brother Xiaochen, did you remember wrong? Since when did I have an elder sister?" Boom. The smile on Xiaochen's face froze. It was like he was struck by lightning. He did not dare to believe Lu Suifeng's words. Chapter 1287. He smiled embarrassedly and said, "Suifeng, you must be joking with me." Lu Suifeng said seriously, "Big brother Xiaochen, I am not joking with you. I really do not have an elder sister. Everyone in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion knows this." Xiaochen realized that something was amiss and said in a deep voice, "Say that again." Lu Suifeng felt that Xiaochen was a little scary, but he still answered, "I, Lu Suifeng, am an only child. I do not have any memories of an older sister." "Impossible," Xiaochen said loudly. "How is this possible? Could it be that what happened in Qingyun Peak was just a dream?" "You are not Lu Suifeng. I'll go ask someone else." Xiaochen's face sank. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's main hall and saw the pavilion master, Lu Tianyu. Lu Suifeng asked doubtfully, "What's wrong with elder brother Xiao? Do I really have an elder sister? When Xinyun comes back, I'll ask her properly, but I really don't remember her doing so." When Xiaochen asked his question nervously, Lu Tianyu had a confused expression on his face as well. He indicated that no less than 1,000 disciples knew who Lu Riyue was. How could it be possible to know Lu Riyue? Furthermore, he was very sure of it. Such a huge case caused Xiaochen to go somewhat crazy. He asked everyone about it. Xiao Chen calmed himself down and flew to the imperial capital to look for Yingyu. Lu Ryue had once experienced danger with Yingyu. She should not have forgotten. In the end, Yingyu expressed that she did not know either. She had never heard of Lu Ryue before. No wonder when I first arrived in the Sky Dome realm, Yingyu did not mention Lu Ryue. Lu Ryue was not in Yingyu's memories at all. Xiao Chen felt disappointed and frustrated. Then, he found Feng Feishue in the imperial capital. When Feng Feishue saw Xiao Chen, she was very happy. However, she also expressed that she had never heard of Lu Ryue before. I don't believe it, I don't believe it. Suppressing the pain in his heart, Xiao Chen flew throughout the entire Sky Dome realm. He found everyone who had a connection with Lu Ryue. However, everyone seemed to have an agreement. They all said that they had never heard of Lu Ryue. Above the ruins of the Thunder Cliff, Xiao Chen looked at the endless sea. His hair was disheveled and he looked extremely tired. Inside the immortal spirit ring, Ao Jiao did not know how to comfort Xiao Chen. This was because she had never heard of Lu Ryue either. Could it be that the entire world has forgotten about you? Only I know that you once existed? Xiao Chen mumbled to himself. He felt like he was about to collapse. He even began to doubt whether this world was real or illusory. Could it be that it was really a dream? Xiao Chen fell into deep thought. This matter was really too strange. A living person in this world, there was no trace of his existence at all. It was as if she had never existed, but Xiao Chen remembered it clearly. He would never be able to forget those images in his mind. Be it 1,000 years or 10,000 years, Xiao Chen would never forget that Lu Ryue was the person that he, Xiao Chen, had to protect for his entire life. Suddenly, inspiration flashed in Xiao Chen's mind as he recalled something. The many Emperor Wu of the Kunlun realm all guessed that during the peak of the martial epic in the ancient era, there were powerhouses who broke through the shackles of Emperor Wu. However, none of those powerhouses' deeds had been passed down. In fact, there were no records of them in any ancient books. Even the top of the Sage Mark monument only had some vague marks. Aside from that, there were no other traces left behind. This made several Emperor Wu doubt whether there was a peak above Emperor. Could it be that Lu Ryue left this abandoned land and erased all traces of her existence like those powerhouses did? However, that was impossible. Xiao Chen was only as strong as Emperor Wu. How could Lu Ryue leave this abandoned land? No matter what, this guess allowed Xiao Chen to truly calm down. Ao Jiao, come out for a while. When Ao Jiao came out, Xiao Chen stretched out his hand and placed it on her forehead. Xiao Chen turned all the memories between him and Lu Ryue into spiritual sense and sent it into Ao Jiao's sea of consciousness. Instantly, scenes of Xiao Chen and Lu Ryue interacting with each other appeared in Ao Jiao's mind. Lu Ryue revealed a pained expression, and sweat poured down her forehead continuously. She felt like her memories were being torn apart, and she appeared somewhat confused. After the pain passed, Ao Jiao panted continuously. She looked at Xiao Chen and said, I remember now. I remember everything. Lu Ryue is your lover, the lover that you swore to protect. Only now did Xiao Chen release his bated breath. This was not a dream. It was just that this world had already forgotten about Lu Ryue. Ao Jiao felt some lingering fear. To think that someone actually erased a portion of my memories invisibly. What exactly happened? I'll make another trip back to Qingyun Peak and let Lu Suifeng recover his memories. Then the truth will be revealed. Xiao Chen had already guessed a few things. He even knew why he did not forget about Lu Ryue. When he returned to Qingyun Peak and let Lu Suifeng recover his memories, he would be able to confirm his guess. Not long later, Xiao Chen calmed down and returned to Qingyun Peak to look for Lu Suifeng. Big brother Xiao Chen, what's going on? Do I really have an elder sister? Lu Suifeng asked somewhat anxiously. He already knew that Xiao Chen was asking about his elder sister in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. However, no matter how he thought about it, he could not recall having an elder sister. Xiao Chen's expression turned grave. He looked at Lu Suifeng and said, You really don't remember anything? I don't remember having an elder sister, Lu Suifeng answered honestly, feeling somewhat uneasy. Xiao Chen felt an indescribable pain in his heart. How ruthless! No wonder there were no traces of the people who were transported in the past tens of thousands of years. Even the youngest person forgot about their existence. Who else could remember? However, after tens of thousands of years, only mysteries would be left behind. Let me tell you, your elder sister's name is Lu Riyue. She is the person closest to you. She is the person that I, Xiao Chen, love the most. Xiao Chen stretched out his hand and used the same method. He used his spiritual sense to simulate a scene of him and Lu Riyue together. Then, it appeared in Lu Suifeng's mind. The past events that they had experienced together appeared before Lu Suifeng's eyes like a movie. The various scenes of the past appeared. Learning at Qinyun Peak, getting drunk and singing, challenging Murong Chong, the final battle at the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, Lu Riyue blocking Song Kei's fatal strike for him. What's going on? What's going on? Why are these scenes so familiar? My elder sister. When Xiao Chen released his finger, Lu Suifeng revealed a confused and pained expression. His eyes were filled with panic. After a while, Lu Suifeng felt extreme pain. Bean-sized beads of sweat dripped down his forehead. Soon, Lu Suifeng cried out in pain. The wounds hidden in the depths of his memories were torn open. Elder sister. Lu Suifeng seemed to have gone crazy. His eyes turned scarlet as he let out a pained roar. He finally recalled everything. Lu Suifeng felt like he had been relieved of a heavy burden. He clenched his fists and fell to the ground, panting continuously. Xiao Chen did not say anything. Although he felt anxious and wanted to know the answer, it was better to wait for Lu Suifeng to calm down first. After a long time, Lu Suifeng seemed to have changed into a different person. He stood up and said, "Brother-in-law, I remember. I remember everything." A light flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. "Tell me, what exactly happened?" "About half a year ago, my elder sister and I were chatting happily in the courtyard. Suddenly, a hole appeared in the sky. It was extremely scary. Before I could react, a beam of light landed on my elder sister." Xiao Chen felt very anxious. He could not help but ask, "What happened after that?" "After that, my elder sister turned into a white dragon, a 3-kilometer-long white dragon. Her entire body gave off the aura of a king. I did not know what happened at all. I knelt on the ground, unable to resist at all. I don't remember what happened after that. Elder sister seemed to have turned into a white dragon and flew through that hole. The sky shattered and she turned into a dragon." Xiao Chen's heart sank. If he recalled correctly, Lu Riyue's martial spirit was a white dragon. The white dragon. Some of Xiao Chen's memories surfaced. When he first arrived at the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. When he first arrived at the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, a white dragon storm had nearly killed him. The storm contained a consciousness of love and hate, pushing him to the brink of berserking chi deviation. At first, Xiao Chen did not care about it. Now that he thought about it, he trembled in fear. Could all this be a coincidence? According to Lu Suifeng's description, Lu Riyue seemed to have been summoned by someone, awakening the dragon race bloodline in her body. Some peak martial techniques could allow one to transform into a dragon. However, Lu Riyue's situation was clearly not one of them. Xiao Chen could only deduce that Lu Riyue had the dragon race bloodline in the first place. Otherwise, she would not have been able to transform into a dragon. In the distant sea dragon grave, Xiao Chen learned from the ancient tomb keeper that the dragon race existed outside the abandoned land. Before the dragon's gate was destroyed, the ancestors of the dragon race could even use their totems to communicate with the distant sea dragon race, strengthening the dragon might of their martial spirits. This was because after the Shao clan signed a blood contract with the dragon race, some of the dragon race's bloodline was already flowing in their bodies. Thinking of this, Xiao Chen heaved a sigh of relief. At the very least, he could deduce that Lu Riyue should be safe now. "Suifeng, relax a little and cooperate with me. Let me see what you saw in the past." For the sake of obtaining a more accurate result, Xiao Chen decided to use his spiritual sense to invade Lu Suifeng's memories. Xiao Chen did not know such a technique. Even though his mental energy was very strong, he still needed Lu Suifeng's full cooperation. Lu Suifeng did not say anything more. He said directly, "How do I cooperate? Just tell me." Xiao Chen nodded and said, "It's very simple. My spiritual sense will enter the depths of your sea of consciousness. You just need to bring it in. At the same time, try to recall what happened that day in your mind." "No problem. Although I remember what happened that day, I can't say everything. It is best if you see it for yourself." Without saying anything more, Xiao Chen placed his finger on Lu Suifeng's forehead. Then, his spiritual sense entered Lu Suifeng's sea of consciousness. Compared to Xiao Chen, Lu Suifeng's sea of consciousness was much smaller. It was like comparing a pond to an ocean, the difference between clouds and mud. A formless energy wrapped around Xiao Chen's spiritual sense and brought him into the depths. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense immediately saw many scenes. They were even more realistic than seeing them with his own eyes. Chapter 1288. I found it. The scene froze, and Xiao Chen saw everything that happened that day. It was like he was there personally. Ancient words floated in the pillar of light that descended from the sky. These were the dragon characters that Xiao Chen saw in the Dragon Grave Sea. Indeed, it was as Xiao Chen guessed. The dragon race people from the outside world made a move. Xiao Chen continued to watch. There was no expression of pain on Lu Riyue's face. However, when the light descended, it was like some shackle in her body had been unlocked. A dragon might spread out and spread out. Lu Riyue turned into a white dragon and soared into the sky. How strong! This dragon might made even Xiao Chen feel a deep fear. Compared to Lu Suifeng's description, the impact of this scene was several times greater. Even the blue dragon Yuanying in Xiao Chen's body opened its eyes and released its dragon might. The scene changed. The white dragon soared into the sky, and the crack in the sky started to close. As the crack closed, Xiao Chen vaguely saw the white dragon descend from the sky on an ancient altar in the distance. The tens of thousands of dragon race cultivators around the altar all knelt down, their faces filled with respect. This was the end. After that, Xiao Chen could no longer see anything. He loosened his fingers, feeling somewhat melancholic in his heart. "Brother-in-law, how is my sister? Is she in danger?" Lu Suifeng asked anxiously. Xiao Chen did not tell Lu Suifeng about the final scene he saw. He said calmly, "She's fine. It is possible that you will never see Riyue again in this lifetime. However, I can be sure that she is fine. She might even be better off than we imagined." Late at night, the waning moon hung high on Qingyun Peak and a cold wind blew. This night was cold and desolate. Even the lunar palace was deathly pale. In contrast to Xiao Chen's current mood, it was even colder and more desolate. "Ao Jiao, do you remember that I told you about Emperor Forsaken making a move against me half a year ago?" Ao Jiao nodded and said, "How can I not remember? I have never seen you so panicked before. You scared me to death." Xiao Chen slowly filled his wine cup and drained it in one gulp. "You guessed wrong. That was not Emperor Forsaken making a move against me. Instead, it was Lu Riyue leaving this world. Everything related to her will be mysteriously erased. The heaven-abandoning deity sovereign is not that capable. Given Emperor Forsaken's strength, it was more than enough to deal with Lu Riyue alone. Even if Emperor Forsaken was capable, he would not have the energy to deal with so many people at once." Xiao Chen put down his wine cup and sighed, just like that ancient powerhouse, mercilessly erasing his aura from the abandoned land without any reluctance. Xiao Chen's words, "Jiao Jiao," and said, "Was, Yu Chen." Suddenly, Yao happened half a Jiao. Happened when Lu turned. Happened. However, how come your memories were not erased? What's going on? Xiao Chen shook his head, indicating that he did not understand. He remembered that strong spiritual sense from back then. He could not resist it at all. The other party easily extracted the memories related to Lu Riyue. However, just as he was about to succeed, that mysterious energy suddenly retreated and stopped attacking. "What are you planning to do?" Ao Jiao asked worriedly. Xiao Chen's expression sank. He suddenly crushed the wine cup in his hand. "She is the lover that I made a promise to never give up on. She is the most beautiful memory of my life. Even if it takes 1,000 years or 10,000 years, even if gods or Buddhas block the way, I will chase after her and never give up. After understanding the truth behind Lu Ruyue's departure, Xiao Chen was no longer anxious. His worst-case scenario was that Emperor Forsaken had captured Lu Ruyue. However, when Xiao Chen saw the final scene of the dragons bowing to the white dragon, he calmed down. Xiao Chen did not know what kind of world it was outside the abandoned land. He did not know why Lu Ruyue had erased all traces of her existence like those ancient powerhouses. However, all he needed to know was that Lu Ruyue was safe and had not been captured by Emperor Forsaken. That was enough. Since those ancient powerhouses from the peak of the martial epoch could leave, then Xiao Chen would definitely be able to leave as well. As long as he persevered, there would be a chance to meet Lu Ruyue again. Xiao Chen was more confident than the sky. Since he had arrived at Qingyun Peak, Xiao Chen chose an uninhabited peak and decided to stay there. As for the memories of the others, he did not help them recover. Firstly, he was afraid that it would be too complicated. Secondly, he was afraid of attracting unnecessary trouble and provoking that mysterious energy to make a move again. While on the mountain, Xiao Chen enjoyed a rare period of leisure in the Kunlun realm. Aside from cultivating as usual, he spent most of his time pondering the saber domain. After establishing the saber domain as the foundation of the saber, Xiao Chen no longer wavered. Even if this path was wrong, he would persevere to the end, as this path was the most suitable for him. Ao Jiao did not remain idle, either. She organized Xiao Chen's resources in preparation for breaking into the divine weapon ranking. Right now, she was still an item spirit and could not break free from the lunar shadow saber. Her strength was limited by the lunar shadow saber, reaching a bottleneck. Only by raising the lunar shadow saber to a divine weapon would she have a chance to break through to a higher cultivation realm. A cool breeze blew, green shadows, a blue sky, and white clouds. On the summit, the wind was gentle and the sun was bright, looking peaceful. Xiao Chen leaned against a rock. The lunar shadow saber was like a living thing, dancing nimbly in his palm, the back of his hand, and his arm. It was a dazzling sight, too much for the eye to take in. However, Xiao Chen's gaze and thoughts were not on this dazzling lunar shadow saber at all. He just let his right hand play with the lunar shadow saber happily. Xiao Chen looked at the bright and sunny sky and muttered, "I stayed in the heavenly saber pavilion for a month. This peaceful environment is indeed very helpful in comprehending the saber domain. Now, I can completely hide my power in the surrounding grass and trees, as well as in the clouds." 3 months ago, Xiao Chen's saber domain was very scary. Not only would it roar with thunder, but it would also be covered in dark clouds. Going back further, when he just comprehended the saber domain, he did not understand it at all. He only knew how to unleash his power. Now that he thought about it, it was very crude. Could it be that Senior Lon was laughing at me for being like a porcupine? According to what Senior Lon said, I have already gone from power to subtlety. With a thought, the saber intent filling the air is all mine to use. If I cultivate further, I will solidify this space, merging my entire heart into this 1 kilometer, making this 1 kilometer into my own space. Saber domain. Saber domain, cultivating the word domain. That was to say, one had to rely on the state of space. Instead, the saber became a supporting existence, a supporting role. After all, the entire Kunlun realm believed that the Space Great Tao was much stronger than the Great Tao. This was because the Space Great Tao was hard to grasp and even harder to cultivate. However, in comparison, the Saber Tao was much easier to grasp and even easier to cultivate. How could it compare to the Space Great Tao? Originally, Xiao Chen thought so as well. However, as he cultivated the Saber domain, he wavered. The Saber Tao might not be weaker than the Space Great Tao. However, the vision of the Emperor Wu of the Kunlun realm was restricted, preventing them from seeing the essence of the Saber Tao. Saber intent gathered in Xiao Chen's heart, and the nimble lunar shadow saber immediately stopped leaping around. It appeared in Xiao Chen's hand, tightly grasping it as he pointed it forward. The scabbard came out and stabbed into the cliff in front. Buzz! The saber trembled, and the entire space trembled slightly. "Withdraw!" Shao Chen shouted in his heart, and the light of the world within 1 kilometer slowly shrank. This formed a strange scene. Within 1 kilometer, the sun shone brightly, looking incredibly piercing. However, within 1 kilometer of Shao Chen's world, the light slowly shrank. When the light faded, it left behind an eternal darkness. Slowly, all the light gathered on Shao Chen's body. However, just at this moment, there was a pew, the sound, and all the shrinking light appeared. Intense fluctuations appeared, like disobedient children, scattering in a hubbub, returning to where they came from. This was the direction Shao Chen was currently cultivating in. He did not choose to solidify this space and merge his body with the domain, working hard towards Senior Lan Chaofeng's level. Instead, he chose another path, gathering everything within 1 kilometer into the saber in his hand. The saber domain focused on the saber. Everything had to be focused on the saber. The saber could not be a side character. How difficult! Every time I reach this step, it immediately crumbles. I wonder what the scene will be like after I grasp a little of this path. Shao Chen's heart filled with anticipation. However, he also felt somewhat anxious. He did not know if he would succeed on this path. He had tried more than 1,000 times, but he had not succeeded even once. He could not help feeling somewhat depressed. Let me practice my profound martial techniques. Cultivating the saber domain is important, but I cannot fall behind on my martial techniques either. Shao Chen stood up with a somersault. Then he held the lunar shadow saber and spun it in the air. 1,000 mysterious phenomena appeared in Shao Chen's body. As the saber light gathered, it formed a glorious painting of 1,000 mountains turning into dragons roaring ferociously in the sky. Shao Chen smiled faintly and said, "Right now, my instant of glory is already at my fingertips. I can obtain whatever kind of glory I want." Again. With a thought, Shao Chen swung his saber, creating a glorious painting of 10,000 dragons soaring into the sky. The painting shattered, condensed, and shattered. As Shao Chen swung his saber, he felt incredibly carefree, feeling much more at ease. There is only one saber, instant of glory. Back then, Shao Chen had comprehended this incomplete martial technique. Now he slowly perfected it. Now he was even more at his fingertips. He could use it as he pleased and withdraw it as he pleased. All sorts of splendor, ever-changing and boundlessly ingenious. Following that, Shao Chen practiced the 1,000-year hegemony establishment many times. He had already perfected this martial technique to the point of perfection. Unfortunately, this was a medial-grade profound martial technique left behind by someone before him. Furthermore, there was only one move. Hence, he could not use it as smoothly as instant of glory, which felt like it surged in his blood. Shao Chen stopped and frowned. How unfortunate. This 1,000-year hegemony establishment should be a saber technique created by an ancient saber sovereign. There should be a complete set of it. Unfortunately, I only obtained this one move. In the cultivation of the saber Dao, instant of glory and 1,000-year hegemony establishment were Shao Chen's strongest killing moves. As for flawless bright moon, 1,000 frost battle snow, and the completed 4-season saber technique, they were slightly weaker. They could only be considered inferior grade profound martial techniques. After Shao Chen finished practicing the saber technique, he casually tossed the saber into the scabbard stuck in the cliff wall. 2 bright moons rose up behind him. Shao Chen executed the 1,000-year death and the 1,000-year flame at the same time. There were hot-bloodedness and lofty sentiments, as well as heartache from the past. The 2 bright moons painted a different kind of beauty. Chapter 1289. When Shao Chen finished practicing his palm technique, 2 flames of different colors appeared in his eyes, one yin and one yang. Shao Chen was not in a rush to form the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. He moved his feet, following the 2 energies of the sun and the moon. As they chased each other, they created a pulling force. Back at the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony, Shao Chen felt that this pulling force could be used not only for defense but for offense as well. The Taiji Dao contained in the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram could be explored as well. Slowly, a huge Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram appeared under Xiao Chen's feet. It swept away all the dust and leaves, revealing everything. Xiao Chen withdrew his hand, and the fiery light in his eyes slowly disappeared. He muttered, "Interesting. Unexpectedly, I let this Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram gather dust for so long. I really should not have." Suddenly, Xiao Chen frowned and looked to the front. He asked doubtfully, "Where did this fellow come from? How dare he barge in so fearlessly?" There was a strong aura outside the vast mountain range. This person used a secret technique to hide his aura and headed straight for the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, not showing any intention of changing direction. This method of hiding his aura was very ingenious. However, it was not as good as Xiao Chen's foundation returning art. With Xiao Chen's spiritual sense, he could see everything clearly. This was like someone relying on their concealment to walk down the street naked without any fear, thinking that they could hide from everyone. However, Xiao Chen saw everything clearly. This person is probably as strong as a great perfection blue-robed emperor. Where did he come from? Xiao Chen asked, feeling suspicious. The royal courts of the various nations in the Sky Dome realm had connections with some of the major factions of the Kunlun realm, like the Great Qin Nation's royal court and the Ying clan. As for the Great Qin Nation, it was directly under the control of Bushin Palace. The various royal courts would definitely have a blue-robed emperor overseeing them. There might even be a peak blue-robed emperor. However, all this did not matter. These blue-robed emperors overseeing the various royal courts had no reason to sneak into the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Since Xiao Chen was not the blue-robed emperor of the various royal courts, there was only one possibility. Like Xiao Chen, he came from the Kunlun realm. However, who would be so bored as to spend so many resources to come to this lower realm where spiritual qi was so thin? This person was very strong. He completely ignored the various restrictions and formations of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. His figure flickered in the air, and after a few leaps, he landed on Qingyun Peak. He actually came to Qingyun Peak. Did he come for me? Xiao Chen circulated the origin returning technique and concealed his aura. Then he silently landed on Qingyun Peak. Looking at the person who had just arrived from 1,000 meters away, Zhang Xian realized that he was overthinking things this time around. Unexpectedly, this mysterious person did not come to Qingyun Peak to find Xiao Chen. Instead, he was looking for the deep abyss demon that Lu Ryue's father used his life force to seal in ice. This person was dressed in black and had a slender figure. His handsome face gave off a bold and unrestrained evil aura. This person exuded a faint demonic qi. This was the demonic qi that all the cultivators of the Kunlun realm hated. A demon? Based on the aura of this person and the demonic qi around him, it was clear that he was a pure-blooded demon. However, Xiao Chen did not know which of the 18 demon races this person belonged to. Some of the demon races were very difficult to deal with. Xiao Chen did not say anything as he hid in a cloud. He looked at this person indifferently, trying to figure out why he was here. It must have been hard on you, first uncle. You have been trapped here for so many years on an ordinary hunt. Who could have imagined that a divine weapon would appear in this insignificant Heavenly Saber Pavilion? Coincidentally, I accompanied Master to the Sky Dome realm to carry out a mission. Otherwise, who knows how long you would have been sealed here? After the black-clad demon spoke, he prepared to break the ice and release the demon inside. Stop! A cold snort startled the black-clad demon. Unexpectedly, there was someone in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion who could sense his intentions. When the black-clad demon looked back, he saw the clouds in the sky shatter. The white-robed Xiao Chen descended and instantly arrived before the black-clad demon. Given Xiao Chen's current strength, he did not care about the demons sealed in the ice at all. However, this ice was created by Lu Ryue's father using his life force. Once the ice shattered, his body would shatter as well. This was a situation that Xiao Chen did not wish to see. Although his father-in-law was already dead, he had to leave his corpse intact. In any world, dying without a corpse was a form of disrespect to the dead. A consummation blue-robed emperor. When the black-clad demon saw Xiao Chen, his expression changed wildly. He was astonished in his heart. Unexpectedly, there was a consummation blue-robed emperor in this insignificant sky dome realm. Furthermore, Xiao Chen was so young, about the same age as his young palace masters. Xiao Chen already knew that this black-clad demon had come to the sky dome realm to carry out a mission. His visit to Qingyun Peak was just a convenience, so he wanted to release his first uncle. Xiao Chen did not stand on ceremony. He directly unleashed the might of a king and said coldly, "Tell me honestly what you are doing in the Sky Dome realm. Tell me the truth, and I can spare your life." After the initial shock, the black-clad demon calmed down. "I do not need your forgiveness. An insignificant consummation blue-robed emperor wants to capture me? Dream on." Ka! A pair of fleshy wings grew out of the black-clad man's back. With a ferocious flap, a strong wind blew. The black-clad man's body vanished, merging with the strong wind. Then he flew far away from this place. Xiao Chen's expression remained calm. When he saw the other party's means, a light lit up in his eyes. He sighed softly and said, "So, it is a winged demon that is good at controlling the wind. This move is rather interesting." In the Sky Dome realm's deep-sea battlefield, Xiao Chen had interacted with all sorts of demons. However, they were all extremely low-ranked demons. This was the first time he saw a blue-robed emperor-level winged demon, which piqued his interest. "Ha! Insignificant human, what can you do to me? Even your Emperor Wu cannot capture me, much less you. Just save it." Strange laughter came from the howling strong wind as it flew above Xiao Chen's head. In one breath, Xiao Chen traveled 5 kilometers. In a few breaths, he traveled 50 kilometers. How ignorant! Mockery flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. Then, he pushed off with his feet and soared into the air. Xiao Chen stood on a purple lightning dragon and somersaulted a few times, blocking this strong wind 50 kilometers away. Then, he sent out a palm strike, and the violent wind was blown back by this palm strike. Pained howls came from the surging strong wind. Then, the strong wind gathered and reformed into that black-clad demon. However, this time, the black-clad demon was no longer as insufferably arrogant as before. Not only did Xiao Chen break his violent wind evasion with one palm strike, but his internal organs also ruptured, severely injuring him. How could the black-clad demon still dare to be impudent? As he looked at Xiao Chen, his eyes filled with horror. Right now, Xiao Chen even dared to fight Second Heaven Emperor Wu. He no longer felt it was beneath him to make a move against a small perfection blue-robed emperor. If not for the other party being a demon and having secrets, Xiao Chen would not have bothered with him. "Speak, what are your intentions in coming to this Sky Dome realm?" The black-clad demon retreated in horror in the air. He thought hard about how to deal with this. Just based on that palm strike earlier, this person before him should be on the same level as his young master. A demonic genius. Truly a demonic genius. To think that such a demonic genius could appear in the human race. He is too strong. He holds an absolute advantage in terms of strength. There is no other way. I can only use a forbidden art. The black-clad demon made up his mind, and determination flashed in his eyes. He looked at Xiao Chen and said, "Don't even think about making me tell you." Right after the black-clad demon spoke, the energy in his body suddenly surged. Xiao Chen's expression changed slightly. This was a sign of self-detonation. However, fearing that it was a trap, Xiao Chen did not retreat. He watched coldly as the other party self-detonated. Bang! He really can self-detonate. Xiao Chen exclaimed in shock when he saw the other party explode without a complete corpse and erupt with horrifying energy. However, shock was shock. This level of energy could already deal significant damage to Xiao Chen. It was better to defend. A clump of flames burned in Xiao Chen's eyes. When the energy of the demon's self-detonation radiated over, the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram formed and easily blocked the energy of the self-detonation. No matter how strong the self-detonation of the other party was, before the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram, it could not do anything. After the explosion, Xiao Chen casually waved his hand and scattered the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. As Xiao Chen looked at the shattered space in front, he sighed. He sighed at the instability of this Sky Dome realm's space and the decisiveness of this demon. Perhaps he should not have displayed such a strong stance. That's not right. This fellow is not dead yet. Xiao Chen felt a weak aura. His body passed through the many spatial tears in front and looked to the south. A spatial tear tore open in the sky, and the black demon's weak figure entered it, quickly fleeing far away. What a fellow! To think that he faked his death to trick me. However, even if he survives like this, he will be severely injured. Furthermore, do you really think that you can survive? Xiao Chen's face sank. At some point in time, the lunar shadow saber appeared in his hand, and he drew it from its scabbard. A saber light flashed into the spatial tear just as it was about to close. Xiao Chen sheathed his saber. After sending out only one saber strike, Xiao Chen ignored it. He only wondered where this mysterious demon came from. Was there an even stronger existence aside from him? A few minutes later, the black-clad demon, who thought that he had escaped after tearing open a spatial tear, relaxed his expression and revealed a smile. Just as he was about to kneel to the person in front of him, a saber light containing an unparalleled sharp saber intent arrived silently. A saber light with an incredibly sharp saber intent followed silently and chopped off the black-clad demon's head. Blood spurted out. That head did not even know what happened before it died. The sharp saber light chopped off the black-clad demon's head and continued flying forward, showing no signs of stopping. Everywhere the saber light passed, space was like tofu, neatly chopped in half. Ding. A finger blocked the saber light, and the person who attacked revealed a shocked expression on his face. That person's finger actually got cut, leaving behind a shallow wound. Interesting. After flying so far away and killing a person, you are still able to injure me. Right after that person spoke, his fingers suddenly released a resplendent light. Kasu. Cracks appeared in the saber light that Xiao Chen sent out. After a while, it shattered into pieces. Chapter 1290. The person who attacked had a fair and handsome face. That delicate appearance gave off a carefreeness like a cool breeze, making it hard to associate this person with a demon who cultivated demonic qi. There was an ancient purple mark on this person's forehead. That was the mark of nobility that only the bloodline descendants of the 18 demon monarchs of the deep abyss demonic world had. In layman's terms, it was the mark of royalty. If Xiao Chen were here, he would not be unfamiliar with this mark, as he had seen the same mark on the Eros demon Ling Yu's forehead before. Feng Zi, the saber intent contained in this saber qi already surpasses that of a saber soul. This is a powerful bladesman who has started comprehending the saber Dao. A clear voice rang out. The one who had spoken was a charming woman not far away from Feng Zi, who was filled with temptation. This woman also had the mark of royalty on her forehead. She wore leather clothes that revealed most of her skin and had a playful tail behind her. She was an Eros demon. Feng Zi nodded gently and said, "There is no such expert in the Sky Dome realm. He should be a human outstanding talent that came down from the Kunlun realm. Should we change our plan?" The leather-clad woman smiled coquettishly. Although this was clearly a request, it was filled with a teasing tone. A strong lust flashed in Feng Zi's eyes. He smiled and said, "Yao Manlan, your charm techniques are really ingrained in your bones. I really can't think of anyone in the world who would not fall for you. The beauty of a peach, graceful and exquisite, the fragrance of an orchid lingering." Yao Manlan was indeed like her name, not the slightest bit false. Yao Manlan smiled faintly. The praise of this Feng Zi, a peak outstanding talent of the winged demon monarch bloodline, was very useful to her. "Are you mocking me? Aside from the lust in your eyes, your heart has not moved at all." "Ah, that is natural. If you want to move my, Feng Zi's, heart, that will depend on whether that demon monarch Ling Yu of yours can do it or not," Feng Zi said indifferently, his tone brimming with pride. Disdain flashed in Yao Manlan's eyes as she thought to herself, Her Majesty Ling Yu's charm techniques have already reached great heights, reaching the level of the soul and the soul. With just one look, she can capture your mind, turning you into a loyal slave. Yao Manlan did not linger on this topic and returned to her own question. You still haven't answered me whether we should change the plan or not. Feng Zi burst into laughter when he heard this. A torrential domineering aura burst forth from his eyes. Change? Why do I have to change it? This Sky Dome realm does not allow Emperor Wu to come. Who can stop me? Even if Emperor Wu comes, I, Feng Zi, am not afraid at all. There is no need for me to change anything. Upon seeing Feng Zi's arrogance, Yao Manlan felt displeased. Among the 18 demon monarchs branches, the Wind Demon bloodline was the most arrogant and unruly. They had always been so confident. However, he did not say anything. This Feng Zi did indeed have the qualifications to be arrogant. He was only 50 years old now, but he had already killed an emperor-level demonic beast in the deep abyss demonic world. Yao Manlan said, "In that case, we will stick to the original plan. We will charge into the Sky Dome immortal realm and use force to snatch away the remaining half of the Sky Dome heart." Feng Zi said domineeringly, "Naturally. There is no need to come up with any plans to deal with a bunch of old fogies. We can just kill our way through." However, this person, a murderous intent flashed in Feng Zi's eyes as he interrupted, "It would be best if he does not appear. If he does, my servant will not be killed for nothing." Back at Qingyun Peak, Xiaochen frowned slightly. He felt that someone had shattered his strand of saber qi. Although this strand of saber qi was just a casual attack, that demon was already a spent force. How could he have possibly shattered my saber qi? After thinking about it, Xiaochen could only conclude that this demon had an accomplice. Xiaochen, who had been preparing to continue cultivating, suddenly had an idea. A demon that could easily shatter a strand of his saber qi. This demon that could easily shatter his strand of saber qi was rather strong, at least twice as strong as the demon that appeared at Qingyun Peak. How could there be such a strong person in the Sky Dome realm? Doubts appeared in Xiaochen's heart. Could it be that the Dark Church returned to the Sky Dome realm and sent people to establish a branch? It was very possible. Of the 3,000 lower realms, the Sky Dome realm was the most mysterious. The Dark Church could not possibly give up on this place. I have to make a trip to the Imperial Palace and warn Yingyu. Xiaochen did not have any intention of destroying the Dark Church. This was because it was just a branch. Even if it was destroyed, the Dark Church headquarters in the deep abyss demonic world would still send people to rebuild it. Unless Xiaochen had the ability to enter the demonic world and destroy the entire Dark Church headquarters, there was no need for him to do something so strenuous and unrewarding. However, Xiaochen's friends and family were in the Great Qin Nation. He needed to warn Yingyu and take precautions. After traveling millions of kilometers, Xiaochen arrived at the Great Qin Nation's Imperial Palace in the time it took to brew a pot of tea. Xiaochen got someone to send a message and soon saw the valiant and formidable-looking Yingyu. "Ha! What brings you here again? Are you still going to ask about Lu Ryue? I've already tried to recall many times." "There is indeed no such person in my memories," Yingyu said with a smile when she saw Xiaochen. Xiaochen smiled faintly. He had already figured out the situation with Lu Ryue. Naturally, he would not trouble Yingyu again. "No, there is another reason." Xiaochen immediately told Yingyu about his encounter during the day and his guesses. After Yingyu heard that, she frowned heavily. "That's not right. If the Dark Church were re-establishing a branch, I would have received news long ago. Since the last time you returned, the Dark Church mysteriously retreated. I have not heard any news of the Dark Church since then. Furthermore, the demons you saw were of the Wind Demon race. Even if they were re-establishing the Dark Church, they would definitely be led by the humans who believe in the demonic god. The Dark Church has never had anything to do with the 18 demon races." Xiaochen knew about this. However, he had not thought about it earlier. Now that Yingyu reminded him, he found it strange. Since they were not re-establishing the Dark Church, why did these demons come to the Sky Dome realm, where the spiritual energy was thin? As Xiaochen thought about it, inspiration flashed in his mind. Could they be here for the Sky Dome Immortal Realm? There are places in the Sky Dome Immortal Realm that even I find difficult to deal with. There must be treasures from the immortal epic there. That's not right. The treasures from the immortal epic would not be of any use to them. Yu quickly rejected this guess. They were definitely not here for the treasures from the immortal epic. It can't be. Yu seemed to think of something, and her expression suddenly changed. It seemed like this touched on some secret that she could not tell Xiaoqun. Xiaoqun was very smart. He guessed what Yu was thinking. Is it not convenient for you to tell me? Yu thought for a while before looking at Xiaoqun. There is no harm in telling you. The Sky Dome realm does not permit Emperor Wu to come down. You know this, right? Xiaoqun nodded. He had known this long ago. The other lower realms did not have such a ban. Only the Sky Dome realm did. Furthermore, it was a ban that the upper echelon of the Kunlun realm and the Deep Abyss demon monarchs worked together to establish. Xiaoqun had been curious about this for a long time. Could it be that Yu knew the reason? Yu trusted Xiaoqun. Now that she mentioned this, she did not hide it. You're right. I do know the reason. All the royal courts of the various nations know about it. The Sky Dome Immortal Lord was the leader of the 3,000 Immortal Lords during the Immortal Epic. If one person completely grasped the Sky Dome realm and swallowed up the other lower realms, he could form his own realm, a great realm equal to the Deep Abyss demonic world and the Kunlun realm. 10,000 years ago, the last Tianwu emperor was ambitious. He wanted to swallow up the 3,000 lower realms and then fight with the Deep Abyss demonic world and the Kunlun realm, unifying the entire three realms. Xiaoqun's expression changed slightly. Unexpectedly, the destruction of the Tianwu dynasty hid such a secret. Yu continued, you already know what happened after that. After the destruction of the Tianwu dynasty, the 5 nations divided the Sky Dome realm. No one was able to unify it. Xiaoqun thought of something. His expression turned somewhat sullen as he said, given that, the destruction of the Tianwu dynasty was actually a double blow from the Kunlun realm and the demonic world. I do not know what exactly happened. I'm afraid that no one knows. In any case, after the destruction of the Tianwu dynasty, the upper echelon of the Kunlun realm made an agreement with the Deep Abyss demonic monarchs. No one was allowed to send an expert on the level of Emperor Wu or anyone on the level of Emperor Wu. What they feared was a martial emperor reunifying the Sky Dome realm, threatening the existence of both sides. The Sky Dome realm's world core was also split between the Kunlun realm and the demonic world, each controlling half. After that, the luck of the Sky Dome realm never recovered. The two sides reached a tacit agreement to this day. When Xiaoqun heard this, he forgot why the demons came to the Sky Dome realm. He thought of something even deeper. The Tianwu dynasty was indeed destroyed by the double blow from the Deep Abyss demonic world and the Kunlun realm. However, that was not the main point. The main point was the two people from 10,000 years ago, the final Tianwu emperor and the Qing emperor, Xiaoting, who ruled the Kunlun realm at that time. From Yu's words, Xiaoqun could sense that the Tianwu emperor wanted to swallow up the 3,000 lower realms to contend with the Kunlun realm and the demonic world. His strength had to be extremely horrifying, probably on the same level as the Qing emperor. Furthermore, based on the information that Xiaoqun obtained from the Kunlun realm, the final Tianwu emperor was a good friend of the Qing emperor. Furthermore, the final Tianwu emperor happened to die at the hands of the Qing emperor. In the end, the Qing emperor, who killed the final Tianwu emperor, did not have a good ending either. In the end, he perished, and the Dragon's Gate was destroyed. That was to say, the destruction of the Tianwu dynasty led to the fall of two powerful and ambitious overlords, ending with grievances. What exactly happened 10,000 years ago? Xiaoqun sank into deep thought. The originally huge and complicated situation was becoming clearer and clearer in his mind. As long as he found a crucial point, all the mysteries could be solved. This crucial point was like a key. As long as he had this key, nothing else would be a problem. However, the problem now was where to find this crucial point. Xiaoqun, what are you thinking about? Yu frowned slightly as she looked at the distracted Xiaoqun. Xiaoqun recovered his wits and saw the displeased expression on Yu's face. He quickly apologized. Sorry, I was thinking of something else and got distracted. What were you talking about? Go on. Yu said helplessly, speaking of the Sky Dome realm's world heart, This world heart is also called the Sky Dome heart. Both sides hold half of it. Whoever grasps the complete Sky Dome heart will truly hold the Sky Dome realm in their hands. After that, they can gather the 9 dragon veins and start swallowing up the lower realms. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.